Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
This Duan Ling Tian is a complete madman. Even if I wanted to invite Guildmaster Su for food, he might not even do me the favor, but he actually directly asked Guildmaster Su to not think of getting free food. Li Chong had a strange expression as he pricked up his ears and listened. As far as he was concerned, Duan Ling Tian was going to get into trouble. Unexpectedly. "Kid, don't worry. I've already eaten. You take your time and eat. I'll wait for you." Sumo's calm voice sounded, causing Li Chong to be thunderstruck. How could this be possible? Instantly, thousands of questions arose in his heart. This Duan Ling Tian, wasn't he just a branch family disciple? Why would the Aurora City Alchemist Guild's guildmaster, the only grade 8 alchemist in Aurora City, be so courteous to him? He couldn't figure it out, but he had already come to a decision in his heart. No matter what, he would absolutely not offend Duan Ling Tian. After Duan Ling Tian finished eating, he started guiding Sumo. An afternoon passed, and the shocked expression on Sumo's face had never ceased. He noticed that this 16-year-old youth knew more than him, and his understanding towards a grade 7 alchemist was even at a level that was difficult for him to reach. If it wasn't for him being a youth, Sumo would probably plan to directly take him as his master. Although it was only an afternoon, Sumo benefited greatly. He was convinced that so long as he came here for a few more days, the threshold that had bewildered him for so long would undoubtedly be broken, enough for him to smoothly become a grade 7 alchemist. Before leaving, Sumo had a serious expression as he asked Duan Ling Tian, "Kid, what grade is your teacher?" In his opinion, the reason why Duan Ling Tian had such vast knowledge was surely because of the great teacher he had. Moreover, this teacher was far from being someone a grade 7 alchemist could compare to. No, even a grade 6 alchemist, grade 5 alchemist, or even a grade 4 alchemist, they might not be able to educate such a disciple. In his heart, an insane guess arose. But he still wanted to double-check. "Even I don't know what grade my teacher is. I was lucky to see him refine a medicinal pill. At that time, the pill fire he condensed from his origin energy was a violet flame. Right, surrounding the violet flame, there was a strand of silver edging intertwined," Duan Ling Tian said in all seriousness, as if it was all true. "Violet silver pill fire?" Sumo's pupils constricted. He had once gone through some ancient records in County City's Alchemist Guild. On it was a record of the various grades of an alchemist in Cloud Continent. The pill fire of a grade 3 alchemist was violet, and its surroundings were intertwined with copper edges. It was called violet copper pill fire. Whereas a violet pill fire with its surroundings intertwined with silver edges, that would be violet silver pill fire. It was the pill fire of a grade 2 alchemist. Grade 2 pill fire. Instantly, Sumo felt as if the sky was about to fall. "Grade 2 alchemist? Kid, are you certain your teacher's pill fire is violet, and its surroundings has silver edges?" Sumo's chest was rising and falling like bellows. Even at the time he condensed his pill fire when he was young and became an alchemist, he wasn't this excited. "Of course I'm certain." "Oh, right. Teacher told me once that he came from some foreign lands, and that he happened to come here to relax. And it so happens that he noticed my natural talent was good. Thus he took me as a disciple." Duan Ling Tian seemed to have thought of something as he spoke. Foreign lands? Sumo's pupils constricted. As expected, he had already guessed it earlier, but after hearing what Duan Ling Tian said, he confirmed his suspicions. He was confident that the term foreign lands, not to mention Duan Ling Tian, even the supreme elders of the 3 great clans of Aurora City knew nothing of it. The only reason he knew was that he had read some ancient records in the Alchemist Guild. Duan Ling Tian being able to speak of the term proved that he wasn't lying. In this instant, he felt his scalp go numb. The violet-clothed youth who stood before his eyes seemed to become incomparably noble. The disciple of a grade 2 alchemist. He was confident now. If this matter were to be spread, even His Majesty, the Emperor of the Crimson Sky Kingdom, would probably have to go out of his way to build a good relationship with this youth. A disciple that a grade 2 alchemist liked, his future accomplishments would certainly be extraordinary. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Suemo was slightly perturbed as he asked, "Kid, where's your teacher? I wonder if I can have the fortune to meet him." "My teacher is away for the time being. He asked me to patiently gain experience by myself and said that he would come back to visit me every now and then. If you want to meet him, when he comes the next time, I'll ask him to meet you." Duan Ling Tian's brows slightly twitched. "Thank you, little brother." Suemo had an expression filled with excitement. Even the way he addressed Duan Ling Tian changed. Duan Ling Tian continued, "It's a small matter. My teacher dotes on me the most. He said that out of all the disciples he took in this lifetime, my natural talent was the best. He also said that those other senior brothers and senior sisters that are at that foreign lands, they can't even compare to a finger of mine." Heh, at that time, the way he spoke even made my face red. Sumo's expression froze, but he deeply agreed. What a joke. In terms of natural talent, a 16-year-old grade 9 alchemist, even in the entire foreign lands, would still be a rare existence. Suemo, however, didn't notice that at this moment, the corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth were slightly twitching. He seemed to be forcefully holding back a smile. "Little brother, I wonder if you're interested in joining our alchemist guild. I guarantee that once you join, you will certainly get the best treatment. In the future, even His Majesty, the Emperor of the Crimson Sky Kingdom, wouldn't dare to even breathe loudly in front of you," Suemo said to Duan Ling Tian, his tone filled with temptation. "Seems to be not bad." Duan Ling Tian lightly muttered. Sumo's eyes shone. It looked like it might be possible. "But my teacher said that I can't casually tell others about him, and that I can't use his identity to make others pave the way for me. He wants me to carve my own path, because only then will I have the qualifications to be a true powerhouse." Duan Ling Tian heaved a sigh. "I've told you so much. It's already considered as violating my teacher's orders. Geezer, you better not tell another soul of what I told you just now, or else I'll tell my teacher that you forced me to tell you everything the next time he comes." As he finished speaking, Duan Ling Tian's eyes emitted a trace of a cunning smile. Whoosh! Sumo's face turned completely green. "Little brother, don't. Please don't. Just take it as I never asked. Since your honored teacher said so, you must honor and respect his teachings, and please don't get me into trouble." Suemo was slightly struck with panic. Suemo was crystal clear of what a grade 2 alchemist represented. Besides having superb medicinal refining skills, alchemists were also extremely formidable powerhouses of the martial Tao. These powerhouses were omnipotent. At this moment, he had a lingering fear in his heart. Because before today, a thought once momentarily appeared in his mind. After Duan Ling Tian assists him to become a grade 7 alchemist, he would take care of Duan Ling Tian and seize back his alchemist guild points. But when he looked at it now, he felt lucky that his reason and conscience had defeated this crazy thought. Or else, once something happened to Duan Ling Tian, no matter how he cleaned up after himself, with the resources of a grade 2 alchemist, it would exceedingly easy for his teacher to get to the bottom of things. At that time, he could imagine what his end would be like. "Don't worry, little brother. I will absolutely not tell another soul of what you've told me today. Also, if you need anything, feel free to let me know. As long as it's within my power, I will certainly not refuse." Suemo had a serious expression as he pledged sincerely. "Geezer, you're too courteous. But since you're so enthusiastic, then I'll be candid. I really do require some materials lately. These materials aren't available in Aurora City. I wonder if you can help me obtain some." Duan Ling Tian wrote it all down in a piece of paper before handing it over to Suemo. Suemo lowered his head and read. A total of 5 materials, 2 of which he had heard of, and they were both medicinal materials that were very rare and extremely valuable. He had no clue about the other 3 materials. "I'll gather these materials as fast as possible, and I'll send them to you as soon as they're gathered," Suemo assured Duan Ling Tian in a serious manner. "Then I'll thank you in advance." Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled as he expressed his gratitude. Only after Suemo left did Duan Ling Tian have a broad grin on his face. Everything he made up earlier were measures he used to protect himself. As for foreign lands and the pill fire of a grade 2 alchemist, they were all things he found out of from Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories. Using it to intimidate people, there would utterly be no one that would doubt it. After all, it was impossible for even the supreme elders of the 3 great clans of Aurora City to know of these things, let alone a branch family disciple of Aurora City's Li clan. Suemo knew of it only because he was a part of the Alchemist Guild. The main branch of the Alchemist Guild was in the foreign lands. I hope that Geezer can gather those 5 materials as soon as possible, because only then can I inscribe the Blood Crescent inscription. Although it isn't as strong as the Blood Explosion inscription on the spirit weapon of Aqua Mist City's He Clan's Supreme Elder, it is nearly comparable. Duan Ling Tian's eyes flickered with a cold light. The art of inscription was extensive and profound. An inscription master, however, was different compared to alchemists and weapons craftsmen. The latter two required their cultivation to attain a certain level before being able to condense origin energy into a pill fire or a weapon flame to refine medicinal pills or spirit weapons. The former only had a requirement towards spiritual force. As long as the inscription master had sufficient spiritual force and was able to obtain the materials required, no matter how formidable the inscription may be, he would be able to inscribe it. Origin energy, in the eyes of inscription masters, was only a tool to inscribe and activate inscriptions. The spiritual force stemmed from the soul. Maybe it was due to him having traveled through to this world, or maybe it was because he had merged with the memories of the Rebirth Martial Emperor. Duan Ling Tian's soul was terrifyingly strong. By means of estimation, based on Rebirth Martial Emperor's memories, Duan Ling Tian could almost be sure that his current spiritual force was sufficient to be compared with an origin core martial artist's. But unfortunately, in Cloud Continent, only Martial Emperor stage powerhouses were able to fight using spiritual force. Or else, with Duan Ling Tian's current spiritual force, it would be sufficient to easily pulverize any martial artist below the origin core stage. It was precisely because of Duan Ling Tian's shocking spiritual force that as long as he had sufficient materials, he could inscribe inscriptions that only an origin core stage inscription master could inscribe. Just like the Blood Crescent inscription he planned to inscribe. The Blood Crescent inscription was the inscription with the strongest might among the inscriptions he was currently capable of inscribing. It'll be different now that I broke through to the core formation stage and developed origin energy. I can now use origin energy to inscribe, so as long as my spiritual force can fulfill the requirements of the inscription, I can easily inscribe it. Thinking up to this point, a smile appeared on the corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth. In a vast courtyard, an old man stood at a side, his face gloomy. "Grandfather, what's wrong?" A white-clothed youth walked out of his room. The old man frowned as he slowly said, "That Duan Ling Tian seems to be related to the Alchemist Guild's guild master, Suemo. How could that be possible? He's a branch family disciple and a disciple with another surname at that. How could he strike a relationship with the Alchemist Guild?" Li Qing shook his head continuously, unwilling to believe it. For some unknown reason, in these last few days, Suemo would go look for Duan Ling Tian at noon every day. Li Tai was slightly fearful for a brief moment. Although he was the Li clan's grand elder, in front of Suemo, he was nothing. Not mentioning that Sumo's strength was above his, solely based on Sumo's identity as a grade 8 alchemist. If Suemo wanted to deal with him, he wouldn't even need to do it himself. Only a single word from Suemo would cause a group of people to come for his life, just to kill him as a favor to Suemo. This was precisely the influence of a grade 8 alchemist. "Grandfather, could it be that the enmity for my crippled finger will just be let go like this? I'm not resigned." Li Qing's expression was gloomy and his breathing became hurried. "Qing, you can be at ease. Grandfather will definitely help you take revenge. Now, since Suemo and Duan Ling Tian are related, I cannot get involved directly, so I will have to ask someone else to deal with him." Li Tai's face emitted a cold smile. "Grandfather, what do you mean?" Li Qing was puzzled. "Money makes the world go around." Li Tai's brows furrowed. "Grandfather, you mean we should hire Ghastly Shadow?" Li Qing's eyes shone. Ghastly Shadow, the top organization of assassins in the Crimson Sky Kingdom. They rose like a hurricane 20 years ago and swept through the kingdom. As long as Ghastly Shadow accepted the assignment, the rate of success was 100%. Of course, this was closely linked to the rules of Ghastly Shadow. If one wanted to post an assignment in Ghastly Shadow, a deposit must be paid and the target identified. 3 days later, one needed to reconfirm with Ghastly Shadow to see if Ghastly Shadow was willing to accept this assignment. If they were unwilling, the deposit would be refunded. If they were willing, the balance fee must be paid. Ghastly Shadow only accepted assignments that they were confident about. As far as Li Qing was concerned, Ghastly Shadow was an organization with such formidable assassins that killing Duan Ling Tian would be a piece of cake. Deep in the night, in the Li clan estate, a robust figure flashed out. Before long, the figure arrived at a secluded old building in Aurora City and walked in. The hall was very vast and had dim lighting. Behind the counter, a young man with a slightly pale face sat there. When he noticed movement, he raised his head and looked with an icy cold gaze at the figure who arrived. "I want to post an assignment, Li Clan, Duan Ling Tian. This is the deposit." The figure was straightforward. He withdrew a stack of silver and slapped it on the counter, then turned around and left. "Li Clan, Duan Ling Tian." The young man registered. Dawn. When the first light of morning illuminated the earth, Duan Ling Tian walked out of his room and stretched. It was a new day. Duan Ling Tian looked forward only to notice two young girls happily chatting in the courtyard. "Little Fei, you're here so early. Did you miss me?" Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed, greedily sizing up the hot, devilish body of the young girl. Li Fei glared at Duan Ling Tian and angrily said, "I didn't come to look for you. I came for little sister Ku Air." Duan Ling Tian made nothing of it. As he ate his breakfast, he pricked up his ears to overhear what the two young girls were chatting about. In the end, he realized that the two young girls were chatting about interesting stories from their childhood. After he finished his breakfast, Duan Ling Tian went out alone and left the Li clan estate. Suamo had brought him good news yesterday. Out of the 5 rare materials that the Blood Crescent inscription required, 2 would arrive in Aurora City within the next 2 days. As such, he started to prepare the other materials. Inscribing the Blood Crescent inscription required a total of 11 materials. 6 of them were comparatively ordinary. Arriving at the large trade market of Aurora City, Duan Ling Tian entered the medicine store he sold the 6 treasures body tempering liquid at. Out of the 6 materials, 3 were ordinary medicinal materials. "Manager." Duan Ling Tian greeted the manager as soon as he entered. Before long, under Duan Ling Tian's puzzled gaze, the manager brought him into a small room in the medicine store. "Manager, what is it?" Duan Ling Tian inquired. "Someone wants your life." The manager gazed fixedly at Duan Ling Tian as he said this in a straightforward manner. Duan Ling Tian's pupils constricted. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian even had a misconception that the manager's disposition had changed. If the past manager was only a completely sordid merchant, then the current manager vaguely emitted a sense of unfathomableness. It looked like his suspicions from earlier were correct. This medicine store manager was definitely not simple. The Li clan's grand elder, Li Tai, posted an assignment in Ghastly Shadow last night. "The target is you," the manager bluntly said. "Ghastly Shadow?" Duan Ling Tian's pupils constricted. He had heard of this assassin organization that was famous throughout Crimson Sky Kingdom. "You're from Ghastly Shadow?" Duan Ling Tian abruptly laughed. "Yes, in the daytime, I'm the manager of this medicine store, but at night, I'm the person in charge of Ghastly Shadow in Aurora City." The manager slowly nodded. "Manager, doing thing like this, I bet it's against the rules of Ghastly Shadow, right?" Duan Ling Tian's gaze slightly twitched. "Rules are dead, but people are living. I don't wish for my business partner to be killed because of some people. That would mean losing my road to riches for no reason." The manager was extremely frank. As far as he was concerned, the little amount of silver that Li Tai paid for the assassination wasn't even enough to be considered spare change compared to the profit he gained from Duan Ling Tian's 6 treasures body tempering liquid. He naturally knew how to choose between the two. "Then what you mean now is, you're refusing his assignment?" Duan Ling Tian asked. Of course. The manager nodded. If I post an assignment targeting Li Tai now, would Ghastly Shadow accept? Duan Ling Tian asked again. Of course. Ghastly Shadow only recognizes money. But the Li clan's Grand Elder's price is extremely expensive, the manager answered. How much? 1,000,000 silver. So expensive? Of course. Li Tai is the Grand Elder of the Li clan after all, in existence at the 8th level of the Origin Core stage. If you really want to post this assignment, since we are business partners, I can give you a 20% discount. 20% discount? Even then it would be 800,000. You Ghastly Shadow people are really greedy. You can owe a debt without interest, and it would be deducted from the profit of the 6 treasures body tempering liquid. Forget it. 800,000 silver. I'd loath to part with it. I'll just do it myself. You? What? Doubting me? Slightly. How about this? I don't need Ghastly Shadow to kill him, but help me with a small matter. After getting the agreement of the manager and buying the medicinal materials he required, Duan Ling Tian left the medicine store satisfied. 800,000 silver. To kill Li Tai. To Duan Ling Tian, it was really not worth it. But Li Tai had actually posted an assignment to kill him. Duan Ling Tian's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. After buying the remaining materials, he returned home. At noon today, Suimo didn't come. Duan Ling Tian had already taught him everything he could teach. The remainder was something he could only rely on himself to comprehend. 3 days later, deep in the night, in the point of operations of Ghastly Shadow in Aurora City, Li Tai looked at the young man behind the counter as he asked, "How's the confirmation of the assignment I posted 3 days ago? For killing a first-level core formation martial artist, 100,000 silver should be enough, right? 100,000 silver? Customer, are you joking?" The pale-faced young man's eyes flickered with a cold light that would cause chills to run down people's spines. What? Li Tai's heart jerked, and he had a bad premonition. According to the information our Ghastly Shadow collected, this Duan Ling Tian is the first-ranked youth genius in Aurora City's Hidden Dragon list for this year. Just this point alone would require a fee of at least 300,000 silver. The young man slowly said, 300,000 silver? Okay. Li Tai grit his teeth. Although it pained him, he still agreed. Customer, I haven't finished. The young man frowned. What else do you have to say? Li Tai questioned. The young man continued. We also discovered that Duan Ling Tian is close to the Alchemist Guild's guild master, Suimo. Suimo is a member of the Alchemist Guild, and killing someone close to him is very risky for us. Thus, combining the above facts, the price for this Duan Ling Tian's head is 1,000,000 silver. 1,000,000 silver? Li Tai was stupefied. Even though he guessed the assignment wouldn't be possible when the young man mentioned Suimo, he didn't expect that Ghastly Shadow would set the price at 1,000,000 silver for Duan Ling Tian's head. Not to mention he didn't have so much silver on him. Even if he had brought out that much, he wouldn't be willing to spend it. A mere first-level core formation kid, even if his strength was bizarre, he was only comparable to a third-level core formation martial artist. To him, killing such a kid was as simple as cutting grass. The young man looked at Li Tai as he asked, Customer, may I ask if you still want to post this assignment? No, return the deposit to me. Li Tai hurriedly shook his head. What a joke. 1,000,000 silver. This amount of money was enough to even post an assignment in Ghastly Shadow to kill an Origin Core martial artist. After Li Tai left, a middle-aged man slowly walked out from an inner chamber. Manager. The young man hurriedly bowed to the middle-aged man. If Duan Ling Tian was here, he would surely be able to recognize with a glance that this middle-aged man was precisely the medicine store manager. I'm curious, though, how will he kill this Li Tai? The middle-aged man thought in his heart. The corners of his mouth had a trace of a smile. Li Clan Estate. Grandfather, how is it? Li Qing hurriedly asked as soon as he noticed that Li Tai had returned. He knew what Li Tai had gone out to do, so he was waiting all along for the result. I canceled the assignment. Li Tai shook his head. Huh. Li Qing was dumbstruck. Grandfather, why? Humph. That ghastly shadow actually asked for 1 million silver. Li Tai's expression sank. What? Killing a mere core formation kid for 1 million silver? Are they conducting daylight robbery? Li Qing had an expression of disbelief. They discovered the relationship between Duan Ling Tian and Su Mo, so they were slightly afraid and thus asked for such a high price. Qing, don't worry. Even though Ghastly Shadow won't accept this assignment, grandfather will still not allow that Duan Ling Tian to continue living. Li Tai looked at Li Qing as he guaranteed this. Thank you, grandfather, Li Qing said excitedly. If Duan Ling Tian didn't die, he couldn't eat nor sleep in peace. In a quiet room, Duan Ling Tian sat cross-legged. In front of him lay a cauldron and a pile of materials. Besides that, there were 2 violet flexible swords that were as thin as a cicada's wing. It was precisely the violet meteorite flexible swords. Refine 3 spirit swords first. Duan Ling Tian's gaze flickered, then he raised his hand and took hold of the 2 violet meteorite flexible swords. Whoosh! Burning with his weapon flame. It didn't take long for the 2 violet meteorite flexible swords to transform into liquid. The liquid formed a violet meteorite. Subsequently, another few types of metal materials were melted by the weapon flame in Duan Ling Tian's hand. Their impurities were extracted and they were transformed into puddles of liquid that jumped about in the air as they boiled. Under Duan Ling Tian's control, the violet meteorite liquid and the other liquids from the other few metal materials fused together. Accompanied by Duan Ling Tian's profound movements, the fused liquid eventually separated into 3 balls. Finally, they transformed into 3 dark violet flexible swords. The 3 flexible swords were almost identical to the violet meteorite flexible sword from before, similarly thin as a cicada's wing. Success! Duan Ling Tian finished up and the 3 flexible swords entered his hands. Grasping one of the flexible swords, his origin energy flashed out as the strength of 4 ancient mammoths poured in the flexible sword. OM! A sword cry echoed out. Not bad. Compared to an ordinary grade 9 spirit weapon, the amplification is over 10%, and the strength has increased by 5,000 or so pounds, comparable to the strength of half an ancient mammoth. Duan Ling Tian smiled in satisfaction. A spirit weapon refined by a grade 9 weapons craftsman would mostly only have a strength amplification of nearly 10% only. A grade 9 spirit weapon that could provide a 10% amplification was considered to be top quality. The grade 9 spirit weapons that Duan Ling Tian refined on his first try had obviously surpassed top quality. From now on, I'll call you Violet Myrtle Flexible Sword. The corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth curled into a smile as he stared at the dark violet flexible sword in his hand. Subsequently, Duan Ling Tian put the remaining materials to use. He started inscribing inscriptions on the 3 violet myrtle flexible swords. Presently, all of the 5 materials that he asked Su Mo to get were here. Adding on the materials that Duan Ling Tian bought himself, he had everything he needed to inscribe the blood crescent inscription. Duan Ling Tian only spent 2 hours to refine 3 grade 9 spirit weapons. Inscribing the 3 blood crescent inscriptions, however, used half of an entire day. He didn't even have time to go have lunch. Done. Looking at the blood-red glow emitting from the blades, Duan Ling Tian heaved a sigh of relief. The 3 violet myrtle flexible swords had all been inscribed with blood crescent inscriptions. At this moment, he felt an exhaustion invade his body and a drowsy feeling crept over him. After asking Ku Er to heat up the food and eating, Duan Ling Tian fell dead asleep before the sky was even dark, and he slept all the way until the next morning. After awakening, he still felt slightly dizzy and overwhelmed. The inscribing of inscriptions really drains spiritual force. Duan Ling Tian laughed bitterly. But when he saw his works from yesterday, he felt it was all worth it. Out of the 3 violet myrtle flexible swords, Duan Ling Tian kept one. As for the other 2, he gave one to both Ku Er and one to his mother. Young master, I felt that when I cultivated my sword skills using the violet myrtle flexible sword, its might seemed to have increased considerably. Is it my misconception? The young girl looked at Duan Ling Tian with a puzzled expression. Whoosh! Li Ro swung out the sword as well. Spirit weapon. Li Ro had more experience than the young girl, and she couldn't stop herself from exclaiming in a low voice. Then she looked at the youth at the side with a dull gaze. Tian, this is… Mom, besides being a grade 9 alchemist, I'm now also a grade 9 weapons craftsman. Duanling Tian lightly smiled as he said, also, on the violet myrtle flexible sword, I've inscribed the blood crescent inscription. You just need to control your origin energy and fuse it into the inscription to activate it. This blood crescent inscription, if you're able to use it unexpectedly, even an origin core martial artist will have only a slim chance of survival once hit. Blood crescent inscription? Able to kill an origin core martial artist? The two beauties were stupefied, taking a long time before finally being able to regain their senses. Young master, you're so great. The young girl looked at Duanling Tian in a gaze of adoration, causing Duanling Tian to feel elated. Li Ro's gaze became slightly dazed and her heart trembled. Brother Feng, can you see it? Our child is extremely talented. Even without the Duan clan to rely on, he isn't one bit inferior to his Duan clan peers. A tall and robust figure seemed to appear in front of Li Ro's eyes. That figure was her everything once upon a time. Right, Tian, Ku-er, Sure moved her home a few days ago. What happened? I haven't seen you two with Sure lately. Did you three bicker? Li Ro suddenly asked. I don't know. Duanling Tian shrugged. He had an innocent expression. That day, after he admitted defeat to Li Qing during the clan martial meet, Li Sure started to avoid him. After that, he occasionally met Li Sure a few times. But Li Sure had a very unfamiliar gaze when she looked at him, even having a trace of contempt mixed within. He didn't expect that Li Sure would actually move away from him. I don't know either. Ku-er lightly shook her head. Inner court. At a large courtyard extremely far away from Duanling Tian's home. Whoosh. The young girl's sword moved with her body. She was drenched in sweat. The corners of her mouth had a pained expression that was faintly mixed with a trace of self-mockery. It was precisely Li Sure. For this past period of time, Li Sure's state of mind was filled with a sense of loss. Since she witnessed Duanling Tian's formidable strength, she started to have a type of infatuated feeling towards him. But when Duanling Tian admitted defeat during the clan martial meet and submissively gave away the championship to Li Qing, the lofty image of Duanling Tian in her heart crumbled. Because of this, she started to dislike Duanling Tian and intended to keep her distance from him. However, just at this moment, a shocking piece of news caused her to feel as if she had dropped into a pit of ice. During this year's youth gathering, Duanling Tian cut off Li Qing's finger and defeated in succession the Shao clan's and Lin clan's top disciples in the younger generation, and he was placed at the first rank in the Hidden Dragon list. At that moment, she felt terribly ashamed in her heart. The youth she looked down upon had used his strength and proved everything. Of course, all of this, in her opinion, seemed to be mocking her short-sightedness. It was because of this that she didn't have the courage to face Duanling Tian and directly went to see the inner court manager to move. If I hadn't kept my distance from him at that time, maybe… Li Sure's heart was filled with agony. Unfortunately, in this world, there were no ifs, and there was no regret medicine to consume either. Duanling Tian had just arrived at Li Fei's door when he heard a hearty laughter sounding from within, full of confidence. Duanling Tian's eyes shone. He knew that the old man had surely broken through to become a grade 8 weapons craftsman. While walking in with large strides, Duanling Tian said, in a loud voice, "Congratulations, grandfather." At this moment, the old man also walked out of his room, his face glowing. Seeing Duanling Tian was like seeing the future husband of his granddaughter to him. Kid, it's all thanks to you. If it wasn't for you, even if I had forcefully broken through to become a grade 8 weapons craftsman, my old life wouldn't have lasted much longer. Grandfather, you're welcome. We're all family anyway. Duanling Tian smiled as he spoke. Li Fei had walked out of her room when she heard the sound of the old man's laughter. Upon hearing what Duanling Tian said, her face blushed slightly as she angrily said, "Hey, whose family with you?" "Fei, you little girl. Last night you kept talking about this kid Ling Tian, but now you deny it. Okay, Grandfather needs to make a trip to the Weapons Craftsman Guild. Ling Tian is grandfather's guest, and also my benefactor, so you need to treat him well, the old man said to Li Fei before leaving. Grandfather, what are you talking about? Li Fei, who was sold out by the old man, was slightly embarrassed and angry. Little Fei, what were you saying about me? Also, you need to listen to your grandfather and treat me well. Well, Duan Ling Tian walked in large strides, bluntly walking into her room. You actually entered my room? Li Fei's beautiful eyes glared at him as she angrily followed. So what if I enter your room? I even want to sleep on your bed. Duan Ling Tian laughed slyly as he directly fell onto Li Fei's bed. You. Li Fei flared and was about to extend her hand and pull Duan Ling Tian up. But how could her strength compare to Duan Ling Tian's? Duan Ling Tian pulled her straight into his embrace, and they both fell onto the bed. Little Fei, cut it out. Li Fei still tried to struggle, but was unable to break free of Duan Ling Tian. Her pair of clear eyes had tears within as she said, "Bully. Okay, I'll stop teasing you." Seeing this, Duan Ling Tian's heart softened, and he let go off Li Fei. You're a rascal, Li Fei angrily said. Didn't you know of this since long ago? Duan Ling Tian laughed. Humph, stinking rascal. But thank you for helping my grandfather. As she finished speaking, Li Fei's voice was no different from the sound of a mosquito. What's there to thank? You're my wife, and your grandfather is my grandfather, Duan Ling Tian said brazenly. Right, little Fei, tell me about you. Where are your parents? Duan Ling Tian abruptly asked. Parents? Li Fei took a deep breath. They met with an accident before I was old enough to understand anything, and they passed away. Duan Ling Tian found out about Li Fei's parents from her. It turned out that many years ago, the Li clan once met with a calamity. During that period, many people died, and Li Fei's parents died were among them. Although the Li clan got their revenge later on, it was impossible for the dead to come back again. I really miss my father. I really miss my mother. According to grandfather, they loved me dearly. Li Fei's delicate body started trembling as tears poured out of her like the rain. Little Fei, it has passed. Don't be upset. Duan Ling Tian extended his hand and pulled Li Fei into an embrace as he consoled her. In the end, maybe because she was too tired from crying, Li Fei directly fell asleep in Duan Ling Tian's embrace. I didn't expect this little girl to have such a past. Duan Ling Tian stared fixedly at Li Fei's exquisite cheeks as he sighed in his heart. At this moment, although a beauty was in his embrace, he didn't have any other thoughts. All he had was pity. Bad guy, all you know is to bully me. All you know is to bully me. Abruptly, Li Fei extended out her fist and started hitting Duan Ling Tian in a violent flurry as she spoke. In the beginning, Duan Ling Tian thought that Li Fei had woken up, but when he looked closely, he realized that Li Fei was sleep-talking. Duan Ling Tian, you big rascal, you're not allowed to look at Xiaolan. If you continue, I'll dig out your eyes. Li Fei seemed to be dreaming and muttered to herself for a while before finally recovering into a calm state. The corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth twitched. What sort of dream of this little Fei having? After around 1 hour, Li Fei woke up. You. Only now did she realize that she had actually fallen asleep in Duan Ling Tian's embrace. She blushed immediately. Little Fei, I didn't think you would have the habit of talking in your sleep, but when did I look at Xiaolan? You actually want to dig out my eyes, too ruthless. Duan Ling Tian looked as if he had a lingering fear. You heard everything? Li Fei's angel-like face was red as an apple. Duan Ling Tian's hand slowly rubbed the young girl's lovely hair as he said, in a gentle voice, Little Fei, I will take good care of you in the future. If you dare bully me in the future, I'll snip it off. Li Fei glared at Duan Ling Tian, assuming a posture of cutting off Duan Ling Tian's little brother. Who did you learn that from? Duan Ling Tian's face was pale. This was no joke. Scared? Li Fei laughed complacently. Why do I feel like a sheep that entered the den of a tiger? Duan Ling Tian laughed bitterly. Looking at Li Fei's pair of beautiful eyes and feeling the warmth off her body, Duan Ling Tian's lower regions started to burn. Just when he was about to do something. Fei, has Ling Tian left? The old man's voice sounded from outside. When the old man saw the youth and young girl that came out of the room, he had a weird expression. Grandfather, nothing happened between us. Li Fei explained in panic. Right, there's nothing. Grandfather, heir? I'll be leaving first. Duan Ling Tian was like a kid who was caught stealing candy, hurriedly fleeing. While he left Li Fei's home, Duan Ling Tian's mood was elated. After today's events, the relationship between him and Li Fei was completely obvious. At the same time, he had no choice but to be on alert. After all, there was still someone that was waiting for a chance to take his life. Maybe it's time to take care of this, Duan Ling Tian muttered to himself. He then directly left the Li clan estate and entered the misty forest inner area by himself to hunt fierce beasts. For the next few days, he left the Li clan estate at around the same time. He can really maintain his equanimity. In the misty forest inner area, after killing a fierce beast, Duan Ling Tian's eyes flickered. But what he didn't lack was patience. Deep at night, in a vast courtyard, Li Qing greeted the old man who had just returned. Grandfather, that Duan Ling Tian has been continuously going to the misty forest by himself for a few days now. Are there any results from your secret observations in these past few days? I was originally worried that Suimo would trail behind and protect him, but I noticed that when Duan Ling Tian went to the misty forest, Suimo always stayed in the Alchemist Guild and didn't go out. Since a while back, he seemed to have cut off all relations with Duan Ling Tian. Li Tai's brows jerked lightly. He was slightly puzzled. Maybe they never had any relationship all along, and it was just us overthinking things, Li Qing said. Maybe. Li Tai nodded. The next day, dawn. Success. Looking at the 5 ancient mammoth silhouettes that floated above him, Duan Ling Tian had a smile on his face. After days of effort, he had finally completed the tempering of his fleshly body for the first level of the core formation stage, allowing his fleshly body strength to increase by the strength of 1 ancient mammoth. Now he was confident that even if he fought a martial artist at the 3rd level of the core formation stage, he would be capable of dominating his opponent. After having his breakfast, Duan Ling Tian once again went out by himself. This time, when he entered the misty forest, he started to enter even deeper inside the inner area, as the fierce beasts on the outskirts of the inner area were unable to pose a threat and pressure him at his current strength. After a short moment, Duan Ling Tian bumped into a fierce beast that had a savage appearance. Growing on its body were tumor-like spikes, and it had a pair of eyes that flickered with a green light. It appeared to look somewhat similar to a wolf, but entirely larger by a whole size. Aru. The fierce beast let out a howl and pounced towards Duan Ling Tian. Instantly, above the fierce beast, 4 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared. In other words, this fierce beast's strength was comparable to a martial artist at the 3rd level of the core formation stage. But fierce beasts were naturally able to precisely control their strength and could even be considered to have reached the acme of perfection. Its strength even surpassed an ordinary martial artist that was at the 3rd level of the core formation stage. Bring it on. Duan Ling Tian's eyes shone brightly. He didn't even plan to use his violet myrtle flexible sword. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Duan Ling Tian's entire body flashed out, his speed far surpassing that of the fierce beast that was pouncing towards him. He exploded forth with his full strength of 5 ancient mammoths. Collapsing fist. Drawing his body back like a heavy bow, Duan Ling Tian swung out his fist, smashing straight upon the fierce beast's head and blasting it flying. Bang! The fierce beast's enormous body caused dirt to suffuse in the air when it hit the ground. Satisfying. Exhaling a breath of pent-up feelings, Duan Ling Tian quickly walked up towards the fierce beast. The fierce beast's pupils that flickered with a green light had a trace of fear flash past as it slowly stood up and growled at Duan Ling Tian before turning around and fleeing. Duan Ling Tian was briefly stunned before he was able to react. Wanna flee? The corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth had curled into a smile as his body jerked. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Duan Ling Tian's speed was greatly superior to the fierce beasts, so he caught up to it in the blink of an eye. Aru. Maybe it knew that it wouldn't be able to escape today. As the fierce beast's eyes emitted a fierce light, it desperately pounced towards Duan Ling Tian. This time, Duan Ling Tian seized the opportunity and shattered the fierce beast's skull with a few punches. I wonder what type of fierce beast this is. Its fur and skin should sell for some money, Duan Ling Tian muttered to himself. That is a spike wolf. Its fur and skin combined can be sold for 1,000 silver. Just at this moment, an elderly voice sounded from behind Duan Ling Tian, answering his question. Duan Ling Tian slowly turned around. Standing in front of him was a tall old man. On the old man's clothes, there was a Li clan crest as well. A member of the Li clan. Duan Ling Tian thought in his heart as he vaguely guessed the identity of this old man. Only 16 years old, the strength of 5 ancient mammoths. I have to say, your natural talent, not to mention in Aurora City, even in the entire Crimson Sky Kingdom, it is sufficient to be in the top of first-rate natural talents. The old man's gaze descended upon Duan Ling Tian as he said, with slight pity, unfortunately, today you'll surely die. Grand Elder, are you so sure that I'll surely die? Duan Ling Tian laughed. You recognize me? Li Tai's pupils constricted. In his memories, Duan Ling Tian should have never seen him before. Among the old men of the Li clan who want to kill me, besides you, the grandfather of Li Qing, I really can't think of a second person. Duan Ling Tian laughed as he spoke. You're about to die, and you can still laugh? Li Tai's expression turned grim. At the same time, he couldn't help himself from looking at the surroundings in vigilance. His first thought was that there was a high possibility of someone protecting Duan Ling Tian nearby. Otherwise, Duan Ling Tian wouldn't dare be so unperturbed. Grand Elder, you don't have to continue looking. No one followed me here. Duan Ling Tian smiled indifferently. No one followed you? Li Tai's brows knit. Aren't you afraid of death? Of course I'm afraid. No one is able to be unafraid of death, Duan Ling Tian said truthfully. Then you still have the mood to continue laughing? Li Tai asked, in a grim voice. Duan Ling Tian's eyes narrowed as he asked, Grand Elder, I'm really curious though, could it be that if I don't laugh now, you will let me go? Of course not. Today, you must die. Li Tai grunted coldly. Whether I laugh or not doesn't make any difference, so why should I put on a wailing expression? The smile on Duan Ling Tian's face grew more and more wide. I'm not going to waste my breath on you. Die. Li Tai's gaze turned cold as he stepped out, pulling forth a line of afterimages at extreme speed. Above him, nearly 100 ancient mammoth silhouettes dashed forward, their imposing manner piercing through the sky. Bang! Li Tai slapped out his palm, bringing a vast amount of origin energy with it. Immediately, the sounds of air exploding continuously rose and fell, and a shapeless gust of wind whistled as it swept through the surrounding bushes. A jet of pressure enveloped Duan Ling Tian. Spirit Serpent Movement Technique. Under Li Tai's briefly stunned gaze, Duan Ling Tian directly rushed towards him as if moving forward to receive his palm strike. Is this kid mad? Duan Ling Tian's hand grasped onto the violet myrtle flexible sword's hilt on his waist. Sword drawing arts. His sword moved like a bolt of lightning, aiming straight for Li Tai's chest. It flashed straight out as if transforming into a violet, venomous snake. Child's play. Li Tai sneered. His descending palm spun around and instead slapped towards the blade of the violet myrtle flexible sword. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Duan Ling Tian's origin energy started trembling violently and poured into the violet myrtle flexible sword's blade. Instantly, on the blade, a bloody gleam jumped about. Whoosh! A bloody gleam that looked like a waning crescent moon flashed straight towards Li Tai's chest. At this moment, Li Tai's palm strike descended, and the violet myrtle flexible sword in Duan Ling Tian's hand was slapped flying. Duan Ling Tian's hand shook as his palm split open, bleeding profusely. Inscription! Li Tai exclaimed in a low voice. Clang! The blood-red waning crescent moon shattered Li Tai's defensive chi barrier. Just when Duan Ling Tian thought the force from the blood crescent inscription was going to pierce through Li Tai's body. Hua. The pendant on Li Tai's neck flickered with a strand of a dark blue brilliance, condensed into a dark blue crystal wall, and blocked the force of the blood crescent inscription. Gotcha. The pendant shattered after completing its mission. Crystal wall inscription. Duan Ling Tian's face distorted. After all the planning and calculations, he never expected that Li Tai would have a crystal wall inscription on him. The crystal wall inscription was a defensive inscription. In terms of grades, it even was not a bit inferior to the blood crescent inscription. Duan Ling Tian felt a wave of powerlessness. He had entered the misty forest daily in these past few days just to use himself as bait and attract Li Tai into his trap. He was confident he could kill Li Tai if used the blood crescent inscription. But how could he have known that this Li Tai would actually have a crystal wall inscription? It had blocked his only resort. Bang! The force of two inscriptions collided together. Li Tai's body was affected by the force and flew out more than 10 meters away. Only then was he able to stabilize himself. Duan Ling Tian, I didn't expect you to have such a formidable inscription. Li Tai's face was extremely gloomy. Today, he nearly failed miserably in such an easy task. Just now, if it wasn't for him activating his defensive inscription in time, he would have died without a doubt. In his heart, a coldness emerged. Duan Ling Tian took a deep breath and said, slightly helplessly, even I didn't expect that you would actually have a defensive inscription. Inscriptions. There were various kinds. There were offensive inscriptions, defensive inscriptions, and assistive inscriptions. The blood crescent inscription belonged to the offensive inscriptions type. Li Tai took a deep breath and said, word for word, today, if it wasn't for me having a defensive inscription, I would have surely died. No wonder you weren't one bit surprised you saw me. You already knew I was coming and planned to kill me with that inscription, right? At this moment, the 16-year-old youth in front of him caused him to have a slightly frightened feeling. Being able to think things through so thoroughly at such an age, once he grows up in the future, he will undoubtedly be a great figure. He even couldn't stop himself from thinking that if his grandson Li Qing had even half of what this youth had, he wouldn't need to worry about him anymore. Yes. At this point, Duan Ling Tian wasn't afraid to admit it. A wave of bitterness flushed through his heart. It wasn't King easy for me to get the chance to cross over to this world and achieve rebirth. Could it be that I'm really going to die here today? Duan Ling Tian felt regret. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have saved 800,000 silver. But now, for the sake of 800,000 silver, even his life was going to be lost. Little Fei, Ku Air. We haven't even done it yet. I don't want to die. Duan Ling Tian. Looks like even the heavens want you dead. You didn't even do your homework, and you wanted to use an offensive inscription to kill me? My defensive inscription, crystal wall inscription, was granted to me by the former Li clan patriarch years ago. Who among the older generation of the Li clan doesn't know of this? Li Tai stepped forward. Every step he took seemed like an approaching death warrant to Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian lifted up his sword once again and stood ramrod straight, staying completely silent as he awaited Li Tai's arrival. Even though he wasn't a match, he would still put up a fight. Death, even death needed to be a heroic death. On his body, a fearless aura stretched out. That was the manifestation of his unyieldingness, to die rather than to submit. Li Tai was moved once again. The coldness in his eyes grew even deeper. If this kid doesn't die, he will surely be a great disaster to me. Bang! Li Tai's palm strike moved like a shadow as it flashed towards Duan Ling Tian. Whoosh! The violet myrtle flexible sword in Duan Ling Tian's hand swept out, moving to intercept Li Tai's palm. Pa! Li Tai's palm descended and slapped the sword flying. Its momentum didn't not lessen one bit as it smashed towards Duan Ling Tian's chest. Above him, 110 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared, their might like thunder, fully exploding forth with the strength of the 8th level of the Origin Core stage. Feeling the pressure that was approaching in the form of a suffocating aura, the corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth had a bitter smile. Am I going to die again? OM. But in the next moment, the ear-piercing cry of a saber, accompanied by Li Tai's shrill cry, caused Duanling Tian to feel as if he awoke from a dream. Instantly, he felt a hand being placed on his shoulder and pulling him aside. He focused his eyes to look. Presently, the hand that Li Tai was using to execute the strike was completely cut off at the wrist, spouting out a steaming stream of fresh blood. His body was carried away by the force of inertia for more than 10 meters. Duanling Tian looked towards the person who saved him. Clothed in a black garb that stuck tightly to his body and with a ghost mask on his face, the crescent saber in his hand was still dripping with Li Tai's blood. Grade 8 spirit weapon. With just a glance, Duanling Tian discerned the crescent saber's grade. Huh. Suddenly, Duanling Tian noticed that the eyes behind the ghost mask had a smile flash within. So it was him. Duanling Tian's heart trembled. You're from Ghastly Shadow? At this moment, after stopping his bleeding, the pale-faced Li Tai looked at the black-clothed person with a fearful expression. The black-clothed person ignored Li Tai. Instead, he looked at Duanling Tian and asked, "Now, do you want to post the assignment to kill Li Tai? If there's no need, I'll leave." Duanling Tian rolled his eyes at the black-clothed person as he angrily said, "Of course I'm posting it. You were concealed at the side and watching the show, right?" The black-clothed man laughed dryly and stepped out. Above his head, 120 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared instantly like nimbus clouds covering the sky. Their imposing manner shot up into the heavens. 9. Ninth level of the Origin Core Stage. Li Tai's face distorted. 1 million, 1 million silver. I'll pay 1 million silver to buy Duanling Tian's life. Li Tai said in panic. A powerhouse at the 9th level of the Origin Core Stage, not mentioning how he had lost the use of his prominent arm. Even if he was at full strength, he would still not necessarily be the black-clothed man's match. As far as I'm concerned, his life is far more valuable than 1 million. The black-clothed man gave Li Tai a reply. Li Tai's face turned grim. Flee. He didn't dare to hesitate. He turned around and fled, transforming into a string of afterimages as he executed his movement technique to its limits. However, the black-clothed man's speed was even faster, seeming like a ghost as he caught up in the blink of an eye. OM. A white light flashed past. Li Tai's body jerked before flying out. His hand grasped his throat, but was unable to stop his blood from spouting out. The dignified Grand Elder of the Li clan, his life ended in such a way. Only now did the black-clothed man remove his mask. It was precisely the medicine store manager. Seeing the face of the black-clothed man, Duanling Tian wasn't one bit surprised, as he had long ago noticed his identity. But he was still shocked at his cultivation level. 9th level of the Origin Core Stage. Such a cultivation, it was comparable to the Li clan's patriarch, Li Ao. Manager, I've known you for so long, but I seem to not know your name. Duanling Tian's eyes flickered as he stared fixedly at the black-clothed man. In the day, I'm called Bull Tang 1. At night, I'm Tang Ying, codenamed Blood Crescent. Tang Ying laughed. Bull Tang? The corners of Duanling Tian's mouth twitched. No matter what, it was difficult for him to compare the decisive and ruthless ghastly shadow assassin from before with this name. Abruptly, Tang Ying looked at Duanling Tian and asked, "The inscription you used before, was it the Blood Crescent inscription?" "Yes." Duanling Tian nodded. "You inscribed it yourself?" Tang Ying asked. "Yes." Duanling Tian nodded once more. Tang Ying gave Duanling Tian a deep glance and sized him up. "I really want to take you back, cut you open, and see what other secrets you have." Duanling Tian's face froze. "That's unnecessary." "I want some Blood Crescent inscriptions," Tang Ying abruptly said. "Sure, but you prepare your own materials. Also, I'll be taking 100,000 silver per Blood Crescent inscription as my inscribing fee." Duanling Tian's eyes flashed with a trace of cunning. "You, so ruthless." The corners of Tang Ying's mouth twitched, but he still said, "Agreed." Before Tang Ying left, Duanling Tian couldn't help himself from asking, "In these past few days, Were you always following behind me? Tang Ying rolled his eyes at Duanling Tian as he said, in an angry tone, Did you think I'm you? Someone with so much free time? I still have to take care of my shop in the day. I ordered my men to surveil Li Tai, and when he left Aurora City, I followed him. I was curious about why you were so confident in your ability to kill Li Tai. In the end, someone actually failed miserably. Ha 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 ha. As he finished speaking, Tang Ying couldn't hold back his laughter. The corners of Duanling Tian's mouth twitched. No matter what, I still owe you my life, so I'll do the first 10 inscriptions for free. Duanling Tian wasn't one who liked to owe people. So generous? Then I won't be stingy either. The assignment fee for killing Li Tai, consider it free. Tang Ying looked at Duanling Tian with a slightly surprised gaze. Then his body moved like a ghost, disappearing from Duanling Tian's field of vision in a few movements. Looks like when it relates to my life, I can't be too stingy. This lesson was something Duanling Tian remembered deep in his heart. Suddenly, Duanling Tian's ears slightly moved and his face turned grim. He noticed that a group of people was moving towards here from afar. He didn't have time to deal with Li Tai's body. He flew up onto a tree and concealed himself there, overlooking what happened below. After a short moment, 7 youths walked over in large strides. Crests were pinned on the clothes of these youths. Wang Clan. Could it be the members of Triumph City's Wang Clan? Duanling Tian thought in his heart. Around the Misty Forest, there were 3 cities, namely Aurora City, Aqua Mist City, and Triumph City. The nascent soul powerhouse he met earlier in the Misty Forest, Zhu Dao, was precisely from Aqua Mist City's He clan. A young man noticed Li Tai's body and exclaimed, there's a corpse here. Humph, you don't have enough strength, but you dared to enter the inner area of the Misty Forest. Serves you right that you died, one of the people who walked over said disdainfully. No, he wasn't killed by fierce beasts. Look, the place where his arm was cut off is smooth, and his throat was cut by a weapon. One of the more careful young women said. It really is true. There's a crest on his clothes. One of the young men walked up and wiped clean the crest on Li Tai's body. Immediately, many of them exclaimed, Li Clan. These people noticing the identity of Li Tai didn't cause Duanling Tian to feel panicked. No one would think that he had the strength to kill Li Tai. Humph. So it turned out to be a member of the Li clan. Serves him right. A blue-clothed young man seemed to be enraged when the Li clan was mentioned. Yeah, the members of the Li clan are so detestable. Wang Huai's younger brother, Wang Zhan, came to the Misty Forest to hunt a black python the other time. At the critical juncture, it was a Li clan youth and young girl who took their gains from behind them. Not only did they take all the benefits, they even killed the few outer court disciples of our Wang clan that were still alive. Luckily, Wang Zhan was born with a heart that was inclined sideways. Otherwise, I'm afraid he would have become another wandering ghost of the Misty Forest. Even then, Wang Zhan's internal organs were still pierced through, and he is still recuperating. If it wasn't for Wang Zheng's current body circumstances being unsuitable to travel, the patriarch would have long since brought Wang Zhan to the Li clan to identify the murderer and denounce his crimes. Once Wang Zhan recovers, I want to go to the Li clan as well. I want to see who is so vicious. The group of Triumph City's Wang clan disciples discussed. Their casual discussion, however, entering Duanling Tian's ears, causing him to be slightly moved. Black Python? Stealing gains from behind them? The Li clan youth and young girl these people were talking about, wasn't it Ku-Er and him? I didn't expect that I'd have such good luck. Who would have thought that I'd bump into a person who had an inclined heart? Duanling Tian had the desire to spit blood. According to his knowledge, a person who was born with an inclined heart was 1 in 10,000. Although he had killed many people during his previous lifetime, he had not even once bumped into a person with an inclined heart. In this lifetime, altogether, he had only killed just a few people, but he actually bumped into this type of a person. Such lousy luck. What should we do with this old guy from the Li clan? I think we should send him back to the Li clan. Like this, the Li clan would owe our Wang clan a favor, and maybe when the patriarch takes Wang Zhan to identify the murderer, the Li clan will look upon this favor and be willing to hand the murderer over to us. You have a point. Seeing the Wang clan group of young men and women taking Li Tai's corpse away, Duan Ling Tian jumped off the tree and left the misty forest. After returning to Aurora City, he didn't return to the Li clan straight away. He instead went to the medicine store to look for Tang Ying. So anxious to see me. Did something happen? Tang Ying was slightly surprised when he saw Duan Ling Tian arrive. I want to post an assignment. Duan Ling Tian went straight to the point. Target? Tang Ying asked. Wang Zhen, a member of the Triumph City's Wang clan, Duan Ling Tian said slowly. As far as he was concerned, Wang Zhen staying alive was a potential threat to him. He had to be removed. Triumph City? Tang Ying frowned slightly. In Triumph City, our ghastly shadow has another person in charge. That person doesn't have a very good relationship with me, so I'm unable to cross my boundaries for this matter, but you can sneak into Triumph City yourself and go post an assignment at the ghastly shadow's point of operations in Triumph City. Okay then, I'll take care of this myself. After hearing Tang Ying's misgivings, Duan Ling Tian lightly nodded, indicating he understood. After saying goodbye to Tang Ying, Duan Ling Tian returned to the Li clan estate. Everything was as normal. However, at noon, the Li clan estate was in a complete uproar. The Li clan's grand elder had died in Misty Forest. Duan Ling Tian originally didn't plan on going to watch the scene, but Li Fei dragged him and Ku Er over. The Li clan estate, outer court martial arts practice field, it was filled full of people. Noticing Duan Ling Tian walking over, the crowd automatically opened up a path. Regarding Duan Ling Tian, who was ranked at the top of the Hidden Dragon list and was the Li clan's future pillar of support, anyone would give him some face. Little Fei, it can't be that you drag me here just so I can open a path for you, right? The corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth twitched as he asked with slight suspicion. I didn't. Don't tell me you don't want to come watch the scene? I heard it was Triumph City's Wang clan members that found Grand Elder's corpse. Grand Elder's death will cause Li Qing to completely lack anyone to rely on. As she finished speaking, Li Fei's gaze was slightly complicated. What, you're worried about him? Duan Ling Tian's brows slightly twitched. No, I'm just musing. Li Qing is the same as me. His parents died in the calamity that year as well, and he lived together with his grandfather since he was small. Li Fei shook her head. So that's how it is. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Meanwhile, he had brought Ku Er and Li Fei to stand at the front of the crowd. In the martial arts practice field, besides Li Ao, the group of Li clan elders was present and stood behind him. Opposite them, there were 7 young adults standing, both men and women. Between the two groups of people, Grand Elder Li Tai lied there in a wretched state. Besides his right hand being broken, his throat was sliced open by a weapon as well. Li Ao and the group of Li clan elders didn't have very good expressions on their faces. Li Ao looked at the 7 Wang clan members and asked, young men and young women of the Wang clan, when you found the Grand Elder's corpse, did you notice anything else in his surroundings? Patriarchally, we examined the surroundings, but we didn't discover anything, one of the Wang clan disciples said. Thank you for your troubles. Since it's a matter of great importance, the Li clan is unable to entertain everyone at the moment. Consider these origin-increasing pills a gift from me. Li Ao withdrew a bottle of origin-increasing pills and passed it over. The Wang clan disciples received the medicinal pills with delighted expressions. Patriarchally, we understand. Farewell. The 7 members of the Wang clan came and went like the wind. Grandfather. Suddenly, a shrill and sad cry sounded from outside the crowd. A youth in white clothes rammed straight through the crowd and knelt down beside Li Tai's corpse. His body trembled as he cried his heart out. It was precisely Li Qing. Li Qing, don't grieve too much and accept the inevitable changes. Our Li clan will surely spare no efforts to investigate and get to the bottom of this matter. We will give Grand Elder justice, Patriarch Li Ao consoled. Investigate? You don't have to investigate. I know who the murderer is. Li Qing's eyes were crimson red as he lifted his head up with a vicious expression. You know? Li Ao was stunned. Li Qing, if you know, you can speak out. I want to know who is so bold to dare kill our Li clan's grand elder. Does he really think our Li clan is easy to bully? An old man behind Liao said, in a low voice which had infinite rage mixed within. Yes, killing the Grand Elder is no different from slapping our Li clan in the face. Li Qing, you don't have to be afraid. You can speak out. I want to know as well, who the hell has such tremendous bravery? If we can find this person, we must shred his body into 10,000 bits. Each and every Li clan elder was filled with fury. The gazes from the surrounding crowd all descended upon Li Qing. They all wanted to know who the murderer Li Qing spoke of was. Eventually, Li Qing's gaze swept through the crowd. In the end, it fixed itself on a violet figure. Patriarch, it's him, Duan Ling Tian. Li Qing pointed towards the violet-clothed youth with a face full of rage. Noticing Li Qing pointing at him and even proclaiming him as the murderer, Duan Ling Tian's facial expression remained unchanged as he looked Li Qing in the eye calmly in a very tranquil manner. After hearing what Li Qing said, everyone present followed Li Qing's finger and their gazes all descended upon the violet-clothed youth. For a moment, the entire scene lost control. Is Li Qing mad? He actually said that the murderer is Duan Ling Tian. What a joke. Even if Duan Ling Tian consumed a spirit fruit once and his fleshly body has an extra strength of 2 ancient mammoths compared to ordinary martial artists, even though he has broken through to the core formation stage, his strength is merely compared to a martial artist at the 3rd level of the core formation stage. Killing Grand Elder, who was at the 8th level of the origin core stage, with the strength of a 3rd level core formation martial artist? To think Li Qing is able to say such a thing. He couldn't have gone mad from the news of Grand Elder's death, right? Duan Ling Tian? How could that be possible? This Li Qing couldn't be thinking of using the power of the clan to settle a personal grudge, right? I heard that during the Hidden Dragon list competition, because of him being overbearing, Duan Ling Tian cut off his finger. Could it be because of this matter? Even if he wanted to use the clan's power to take revenge on a personal grudge, he should at least find a logical excuse. Yeah, actually framing Duan Ling Tian as the murderer, who would believe that? The discussions of the crowd entered into Li Qing's ears and caused his expression to become ghastly pale. I'm not lying. Duan Ling Tian is the murderer. He's the murderer. Li Qing bellowed, abruptly standing up and moving. He exploded forth with his entire strength of 3 ancient mammoths, flashing towards Duan Ling Tian like a madman. Swimming dragon steps. Dark nether finger. His first move was directly a killing move. His finger went straight for Duan Ling Tian's vital points. Li Qing. Patriarch Liao's expression turned grim as he shouted in a low voice. But how would the current Li Qing pay attention to Liao? You don't know your own limits. Duan Ling Tian's gaze turned cold as he stepped forward. Too lazy to use martial skills, he casually swung his fist out. For ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed above him. Bang! His fist flew towards Li Qing at a speed much faster than his finger and blasted Li Qing flying. Li Qing loudly crashed on the floor with an ugly expression. He struggled to stand up and desired to attack once more. Enough! Liao's lofty figure blocked in front of Li Qing, his gaze cold and indifferent. Li Qing, if you can bring forth evidence, then speak. If you want to use Grand Elder's death as a means to settle your personal grudges with Duan Ling Tian, I'll punish you according to the clan's rules right now. Don't forget, Grand Elder is your grandfather. His body hasn't even gotten cold, but you're already busy trying to take revenge. How could he die contently in the netherworld? Patriarch. Li Qing knelt down sorrowfully. I'm not using my grandfather's death to take revenge on a personal grudge, and every single word I say is true. Then speak. Why do you say Duan Ling Tian is the murderer? Liao asked, in a heavy voice. The gazes of everyone present fell onto Li Qing. Patriarch, since my grandfather is already dead now, I won't continue to conceal some matters. Li Qing took a deep breath as he slowly said, during the youth gathering, Duan Ling Tian cut off my finger and practically crippled my dark nether finger. Grandfather was very furious about this matter, and on many occasions he said that he would find a chance to teach Duan Ling Tian a lesson. Hearing what Li Qing said, Liao's expression became ugly. Li Tai, no matter what, was still the Li clan's Grand Elder, but he was such a narrow-minded person. The competition at the Hidden Dragon List Youth Gathering was something that had the unified acknowledgement of the three great clans of Aurora City and was thus extremely fair. Getting injured during a spar was unavoidable. The crowd went into an uproar. So the Grand Elder was this sort of person. I even thought that the Grand Elder was different from us, but I didn't expect him to be the same as us, so much so that his selfishness was even greater. Li Qing was injured by Duan Ling Tian during the youth gathering. Many people witnessed it, and it was Li Qing who was overbearing, and Duan Ling Tian is not to be blamed. Think about it. Li Qing is his only grandson after all. Humph. To think that I actually respected the Grand Elder previously, but he was actually this sort of person. Duan Ling Tian had a weird gaze. Was this Li Qing an idiot? His grandfather was dead, and he actually ruined his grandfather's name like this? He could imagine that if Li Tai rose from the dead, he would probably be angered to death by Li Qing. However, the current Li Qing had already lost all reason. He continued, in these past few days, I noticed Duan Ling Tian going to the Misty Forest daily, so I told my grandfather. This morning, my grandfather followed behind Duan Ling Tian, but I never expected that what came back to me was instead my grandfather's corpse. Patriarch, tell me, if the murderer isn't Duan Ling Tian, then who could it be? Li Qing hysterically asked. He didn't notice, however, that Li Ao's expression was becoming darker by the second. Hua. Practically at the moment Li Qing finished speaking, the crowd went into an uproar once again. He followed Duan Ling Tian into the Misty Forest? This doesn't seem like purely planning to teach Duan Ling Tian a lesson. Once Duan Ling Tian enters the Misty Forest, even if he died, nobody would ever suspect the Grand Elder. Grand Elder is too tyrannical. Li Qing only had his finger cut off, and it was even reconnected later. For this reason, he actually wanted to kill Duan Ling Tian. Grand Elder is too frightening. All of the Li clan disciples' expressions froze for a moment. He had followed Duan Ling Tian into the Misty Forest purely to teach him a lesson? Only an idiot would believe that. Li Qing, don't talk nonsense. How could Grand Elder be this sort of person? Li Ao's face was grim as he shouted in a stern voice. Yes, I believe that with the way Grand Elder has always conducted himself, it's absolutely impossible for him to do such a thing. I believe that as well. Li Qing, don't let revenge blind your eyes. Slandering your grandfather just to satisfy your own selfish desire for revenge is something you really shouldn't do. The Li clan elders voiced their opinions. What a joke. There were so many Li clan disciples present right now. Even if Grand Elder Li Tai had really done this, they would still not admit it, as the Li clan's Grand Elder didn't just represent a person, he represented the entire Li clan. Patriarch, I'm not lying. Noticing that no one believed him, Li Qing immediately got anxious and howled. Enough! Li Ao bellowed. Where's the enforcement elder? Patriarch. Among the elders that stood behind Li Ao, a black-robed old man walked out. Li Qing slandered our Li clan's Grand Elder. Take him away and give him 30 paddle strikes as a warning to other clan members. Li Ao ordered. Yes, Patriarch. The enforcement elder walked out in large strides and grabbed a hold of Li Qing like how an eagle would catch a chick. Patriarch, I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. As he was dragged away by the enforcement elder, Li Qing continued to howl hysterically. Seeing Li Qing be so obstinate, a wave of condemnation sounded from the crowd. Li Qing has really gone mad. The patriarch obviously wanted to keep this matter quiet, but he actually kept endlessly repeating it. Who else would be punished besides him? If the Grand Elder knew that his grandson would do this to him after his death, I wonder what he would think. Yeah, even if the Grand Elder had the desire to kill Duan Ling Tian, it was still for his sake. The Grand Elder having had such a grandson, even in the netherworld, I'm afraid he won't be able to die contently. Chi, to think I used to respect him as my idol. I was really blind. You should instead make Duan Ling Tian your idol. He's the top ranked in the Hidden Dragon list this year. Moreover, he's only 16, so he will surely be the top ranked in the Hidden Dragon list of the next 2 years. As they condemned him, They didn't forget to compare Duanling Tian to Li Qing. Everything was still fine before they started the comparisons. But as soon as they compared, Li Qing was trampled on and torn to pieces. I didn't expect that you'd be so popular now. Li Fei looked at Duanling Tian. That's why being able to become my wife is your fortune. Duanling Tian laughed slyly. Pay. When Li Fei noticed Ku Er looking at her with a smile, she instantly blushed. Young master, should I call big sister Li Fei young mistress from now on? Ku Er lightly smiled. Ku Er, he's led you astray. Li Fei's cheeks, which were already blushing, now seemed to be so red that blood would drip out at any moment. Duanling Tian couldn't hold back his laughter. Suddenly, his brows twitched. Duanling Tian, in 1 hour, I'll come look for you at your home. This was Patriarch Li Ao's origin energy condensed into sound, so only Duanling Tian could hear it. Duanling Tian glanced at Li Ao before lightly nodding. He was prepared in his heart. Even if Li Ao thought that this matter wasn't related to him, because Li Qing had spoken against him to such an extent, the Li clan would start with him to find the murderer. The crowd in the outer court martial arts practice field slowly dispersed. Let's go out for a spin. I need to buy some things, Li Fei suggested. I'm afraid I can't accompany you. Duanling Tian smiled apologetically. Li Fei's beautiful eyebrows knit as she asked, in an unsatisfied manner, what do you have to do? The patriarch condensed his origin energy into sound earlier and told me that he would come look for me at home in an hour. You can't be expecting me to stand up the patriarch, right? Duanling Tian laughed bitterly. What? The patriarch is looking for you? It can't be that he really thinks you killed the Grand Elder, right? Li Fei was stunned. Ku Er had a worried expression as well. Don't worry, the patriarch probably just wants to ask if I have any clues. Even you two didn't believe it when Li Qing said I was able to kill the Grand Elder, let alone the patriarch, Duanling Tian said, with an indifferent attitude. 1 hour later, Patriarch Li Ao arrived at the agreed time. Duanling Tian entertained him in his house's courtyard. Duanling Tian, I know based on your strength that it's absolutely impossible for you to be the Grand Elder's murderer, but since the Grand Elder was following behind you, did you see him? Li Ao went straight to the point. He had complicated feelings towards Duanling Tian. He originally thought that Duanling Tian was only slightly stronger than Li Qing. But who would have known that during the youth gathering, he would have actually defeated both the Lin clan's Lin Zhua and the Shao clan's Xiao Yu. Forget Lin Zhua. Xiao Yu was not only the Shao clan's top genius in the past 100 years, he was Aurora City's top genius in the past 100 years. Even he, the Li clan's patriarch, would frequently sigh. If Xiao Yu was a member of the Li clan, how nice would that be? And now Duanling Tian had defeated Xiao Yu, truly giving him an extremely pleasant surprise. Most importantly, Duanling Tian was only 16, younger than Xiao Yu by an entire 2 years. He could imagine that when Duanling Tian is 18, his strength will certainly be even stronger, leaving his peers far, far behind. Patriarch, I know what you mean. I entered the misty forest to wholeheartedly hunt fierce beasts, but I didn't find anything amiss, nor did I see the Grand Elder. Moreover, with the Grand Elder's strength, if he wanted to follow me, it would be impossible for me to notice. As he finished speaking, Duanling Tian had a self-mocking expression. I understand this. I was just asking a routine question. Even if you couldn't notice the Grand Elder, you don't have to care about it. He was an origin core martial artist after all. With your natural talent, you can certainly surpass him before the age of 30. Li Ao lightly nodded and consoled at the same time. I'll work hard. Duanling Tian nodded, his gaze firm as steel. Li Ao hesitated for a moment before speaking. Also, about the other time, I hope you don't mind. I only did that for the sake of the Li clan's face. As far as he was concerned, the current Duanling Tian was no longer the Duanling Tian from before. Able to climb to the top of the Hidden Dragon list at the age of 16, since the appearance of the Aurora City's Hidden Dragon list, this was a first. Duanling Tian could be considered to have made history. Presently, even if Duanling Tian was only a branch family disciple, and only a disciple with another surname, he was still worthy of the Li clan's attention. Patriarch, You worry too much. Duan Ling Tian shook his head. Li Ao withdrew a stack of silver bills and put it on the table as he said, with a light smile, "This silver is a small expression of goodwill from the clan. Patriarch, this?" Duan Ling Tian was stupefied. These silver bills were all of the largest denomination. One bill was worth 10,000 silver. This thick and heavy stack would probably be around 1 million silver. You brought honor to the clan during this year's Hidden Dragon list, and this is the clan's reward to you? I've already spoken with the 3 alchemist elders of the clan. If you need anything to be refined, you can buy your own materials and ask them to refine it for you. They won't ask you for any money. Li Ao lightly smiled. Being placed first on the Hidden Dragon list was an honor no one in the Li clan had achieved in the past 10 years. This time, Duan Ling Tian had brought great face to the Li clan. Recalling back to when he met with the Shao clans and the Lin clan's patriarchs and saw their envious and jealous expressions, he felt a wave of satisfaction in his heart. "Thank you, patriarch." Duan Ling Tian hurriedly expressed his gratitude. "If you want a refined weapon, you can look for Elder Li Da. You're on good terms with Li Fei, so I think that out of consideration towards Li Fei, he would be willing to refine a spirit weapon for you," Li Ao continued. "Li Da?" Duan Ling Tian was dazed. "Patriarch, you don't have to worry about that. If Ling Tian really wants me to refine a spirit weapon for him, even if I have to risk this old life, I would still help him." Just at this moment, a hearty voice sounded, breaking the momentary silence. Duan Ling Tian saw Li Fei supporting her grandfather as they slowly walked over. Duan Ling Tian finally realized. So it turned out that Li Fei's grandfather was the elder Li Dai that the patriarch spoke of. His eyes flashed with a trace of being emotionally moved. He knew that it was surely Li Fei being worried that he would suffer a loss, so she had brought the old man over to help take care of him. "Elder Li Da." Seeing the old man, Li Ao hurriedly stood up. His tone was filled with respect. The Li clan had 3 grade 9 alchemists. However, after his father, the previous patriarch, left, there was only Li Da as the sole grade 9 weapons craftsman. "Patriarch, you don't have to stand on formalities," Li Da said indifferently. Suddenly, Li Ao's pupils constricted. His gaze fell upon the weapons craftsman guild crest on Li Da. The piercing red grade 8 on it caused his heart to tremble. Li Ao took a deep breath as he asked, in a slightly discomposed manner, "Elder Li Da, you've broken through to become a grade 8 weapons craftsman?" Patriarch's eyes are sharp indeed. Li Da lightly nodded. Gaining confirmation, Li Ao's breathing became hurried, and his chest rose and fell like a bellow. According to what he knew, within Aurora City in the past, only the Weapons Craftsman Guild's guildmaster was a grade 8 weapons craftsman. But now their Li clan actually had a grade 8 weapons craftsman as well. This was a piece of shockingly good news. Congratulations, Elder Li Da, on achieving your wish of becoming a grade 8 weapons craftsman. Since Elder Li Dai has matters to discuss with Duan Ling Tian, I'll take my leave first, Li Ao said to Li Da. Then he nodded to Duan Ling Tian and Li Fei before leaving. "Rascal, he didn't make things difficult for you, right?" Li Fei asked concernedly. "No, the patriarch came to gift me some money." Duan Ling Tian looked towards the stack of silver bills on the table. Li Fei went and looked through it for a moment before exclaiming, 1 million silver. The patriarch is really generous. Ling Tian, your current net worth will probably soon be higher than mine. Li Da laughed. "Grandfather, how can I compare to you? You only refined weapons for people inside the clan use and didn't really take any fees for your work. Otherwise, your wealth would probably be innumerable since long ago." Duan Ling Tian shook his head. These were things he had found out from Li Fei. "Looks like Fei sold me out long ago. The hearts of girls need to reside with their men." As he finished speaking, Li Da heaved a sigh. A grown girl can't be kept at home anymore. Li Fei hurriedly grabbed Li Da's arm as she said, in a spoiled manner, "Grandfather, what are you talking about? I'll always be your lovely granddaughter." Elder Li Da. Hearing activity, Li Ro walked out of her room and looked at the old man in a slightly respectful manner. "You're Ling Tian's mother, right? You have a good son?" Li Da nodded to Li Ro and smiled, his expression amiable. Elder, you're too kind, Li Ro modestly said. Li De lightly smiled as he asked, I came here today because I wanted to ask your opinion on a matter. Look, Ling Tian and my granddaughter can be considered to be in love with each other. So why don't we set a marriage for them? How about it? Grandfather. Li Fei blushed. She was unaware of Li Da's decision. What? You don't want to marry Ling Tian? Li De teased. Grandfather, you're bullying Fei. Li Fei lowered her head, not daring to look at Li Ro or Duan Ling Tian. Elder, I naturally wouldn't refuse this matter. As far as I'm concerned, it's fine as long as Tian is happy. But I still have to let Elder know. My son has already said another marriage previously, Li Ro said. I know of this, it's that girl Ku-er, right? Li De nodded. Greetings, Elder. At this moment, Ku-er had heard the voice and came out as well. She bowed to the old man. As expected, a good girl with a beautiful appearance and clever in mind, Ling Tian has really good fortune. Li De sized up Ku-er for a moment, and under Ku-er's delicate and perturbed gaze, he emitted a satisfied smile. After the parent and grandparent fixed Duan Ling Tian and Li Fei's marriage, they gathered together for dinner that night. After dinner, Duan Ling Tian accompanied the grandfather and granddaughter pair back home. The old man was sensible and returned to his room first. Little Fei, from today onwards, you're my fiancée. Duan Ling Tian laughed slyly. Pei, it's only a fixing, we haven't really gotten married yet. Li Fei rolled her eyes at Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian's eyes burned as he sized up Li Fei's hot body, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and said greedily, Grandfather has already said that in 2 years, once I'm 18, we'll get married. Little Fei, why not sleep here tonight? You wish. Li Fei had a vigilant expression, moving gracefully as she rushed into her room and shut the door with a bang. Duan Ling Tian could only leave while laughing bitterly. When he returned home, Duan Ling Tian noticed that Ku-er was still waiting for him. Silly girl. Duan Ling Tian extended his hand and wrapped it around Ku-er's waist as he pulled her into an embrace and carried her off back to her room. Young master. Just when Duan Ling Tian was about to leave, Ku-er called him lightly. What's the matter? Duan Ling Tian wondered. Young master, accompany Ku-er tonight, okay? Ku-er said, in a delicate and touching manner. After taking off his outer garments and getting on the bed, Duan Ling Tian embraced Ku-er in his arms as he asked, in a gentle tone, Silly girl, what's wrong? Young master, when you have big sister Fei Fei in the future, will you not want to heir anymore? The young girl voiced out her worries. Silly girl, remember this. You're mine for your entire lifetime. No one can change that. Your place in my heart is something no one can replace, understand? Duan Ling Tian hugged the young girl and comforted her lightly. It was unusual that he didn't do anything else to her. Young master. The young girl tightly hugged Duan Ling Tian as she sank into a deep slumber. Early morning the next day, during breakfast. Mom, Ku-er, I'm going out for a few days. Don't wait for me at night these next few days and sleep early, Duan Ling Tian said in advance. Be careful. Li Ro nodded. Although Duan Ling Tian didn't say what he was going to do, she knew that he definitely had something to deal with. Her son had grown up. He wasn't the baby eagle that used to be curled up under her wings anymore. Young master, when will you be back? Ku-er asked. Duan Ling Tian pondered for a moment before saying, in 4 days. If little Fei comes looking for me, let her know. He was planning to head to Triumph City. The current him had a standing in the Li clan. He had even obtained the protection of the Li clan's one and only grade 8 weapons craftsman, meaning that he didn't have to be afraid of Triumph City's Wang clan bringing the fish that escaped the net to come denounce his crimes. Nevertheless, he didn't want to expose himself in front of the Wang clan. Once he was exposed, the Li clan could protect him for some time, but it couldn't protect him for an eternity. He had to eradicate the source of his problems to prevent any future troubles. After exiting the Li clan estate, Duan Ling Tian removed the Li clan crest from his clothes and placed it inside his spatial ring. The spatial ring had been covered with a dark gray-colored metal layer by Duan Ling Tian using his refinement methods. It now looked like it was an ordinary ring, and as such he conveniently wore it on his hand. After going to the trade market and buying a horse and some dry rations to eat on the way, Duanling Tian departed Aurora City. Aurora City, Aqua Mist City, and Triumph City were in a triangular position surrounding the misty forest within. The distance from Aurora City to Triumph City was not one tad shorter than the distance of a round trip to the misty forest and back to Aurora City. Even if he galloped all the way to Triumph City with his horse, it would still take him 8 or 9 hours. Duanling Tian departed in the morning and passed the misty forest at noon, then headed towards the other side of the large road swiftly. Dusk. The outline of Triumph City appeared before Duanling Tian's eyes. Under his agitated mood, he spurred his horse to go even faster and galloped onwards. Go! Go! Just at this moment, Duanling Tian heard 2 voices come from behind him, one male and one female. Turning around to take a look, he noticed a youth and young girl galloping their horses. They were running madly, their speeds extremely swift. The youth and young girl were around the age of 17. Their clothes were gorgeous, obviously having an extraordinary background. Fergana horse. Duanling Tian's gaze quickly descended upon the fine steeds beneath them. He could see the 2 steeds sweat out drops of blood as they galloped. In terms of speed, they were completely incomparable to the horse under him. Fergana horse. One is worth 10,000 gold, and they are extremely rare. Duanling Tian thought in his heart. In the Cloud Continent, 1 gold would be equal to 100 silver. In other words, a Fergana horse was worth 1 million silver. Even the patriarchs of Aurora City's 3 great clans weren't so extravagant. He guessed that this pair of youths weren't from the 3 cities that surrounded the misty forest. Could it be that they are from County City? The Crimson Sky Kingdom was divided into 18 counties. These 18 counties had 18 respective county cities at a scale only inferior to the imperial city. And below every county city, there were 81 smaller cities. Halt! Taking a deep breath, Duanling Tian stopped his horse and made it leap to the side of the road. He wasn't willing to get into any unwanted trouble. But sometimes, even though he didn't want any unwanted trouble, it didn't mean others wouldn't provoke him. Sister Ru, do you see that commoner ahead? Scared to the side of the road just by noticing us? The youth who was madly galloping his horse laughed loudly. He's afraid he will be knocked flying by our Fergana horses. The young girl laughed as well. The youth's gaze flickered as he asked, Sister Ru, why don't we have a competition? How will we compete? The young girl was interested as well. We'll see who can reach the commoner's side first and be the first to hit him off his horse with their horsewhip. How about it? The youth laughed. Okay, go, the young girl replied as her horsewhip descended onto her Fergana horse. Immediately, the Fergana horse galloped like the wind. Sister Ru, you're being shameless, the youth exclaimed before following her. Duanling Tian naturally didn't hear their conversation. Duanling Tian looked from afar at the youth and young girl who were galloping over and planned to continue his journey after they passed, as he wanted to avoid any unwanted troubles. Unexpectedly, whoosh! The young girl was in the lead as she passed by Duanling Tian first, giving rise to a surge of fierce winds. Suddenly, Duanling Tian's expression turned grim. He noticed the horsewhip in the young girl's hand jerk as it was suffused with origin energy. It was actually whipping down towards him, flashing straight for his face. Above the young girl, 2 ancient mammoth silhouettes formed. A 17-year-old at the first level of the core formation stage. Whoosh! The horsewhip hadn't arrived in front of him yet, but he could already feel the sharp breeze hitting his face as the whip approached, causing him to feel a slight pain. Duanling Tian's expression sunk. In the blink of an eye, his hand grabbed out, exploding forth with a strength close to the strength of 3 ancient mammoths. 2 ancient mammoth silhouettes formed above Duanling Tian. Pa! Duanling Tian easily caught hold of the horsewhip. The young girl obviously didn't expect Duanling Tian to be able to catch her whip. At the same moment that she was stunned, she unconsciously tried to pull the horsewhip out of Duanling Tian's hand. Humph! Duanling Tian's gaze turned cold as he exerted force with his hand. Bang! The Fergana horse continued to gallop on by itself, but the young girl, however, was pulled off her horse by Duanling Tian and emitted a shrill cry. Sister Ru, halt. The expression of the youth that was following from behind distorted as he stopped his horse, quickly flashed to the side of the young girl, and supported the young girl up. Third brother, it hurts? The young girl's face was pale. Commoner, do you know who we are? The youth's face was grim, and his voice was incomparably cold and indifferent. Duanling Tian frowned and indifferently said, I don't know, and I'm not interested to know. You're courting death. The youth's face distorted and his body jerked, flying straight out. Instantly, for ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared above the youth, revealing his cultivation. Third level of the core formation stage. Duanling Tian was slightly moved. Third level of the core formation stage at an age around 17, his natural talent was even more abnormal than Xiao Yu's. Bang! The youth dashed forward, his speed like lightning, and slapped out a palm that hit the steed under Duanling Tian. Duanling Tian's face twitched as he kicked on the steed's body and jumped off. The steed emitted a shrill cry as it flew out and then lied there without a sound. Dead. Die. The youth's icy cold gaze stared fixedly at Duanling Tian. Whoosh. His body flew like the wind as his palm slapped out once again. More than 10 palm images condensed from origin energy formed into a line in the air, whistling as they descended and enveloped Duanling Tian. A high-grade profound rank martial skill at the perfection stage. Duanling Tian's heart skipped a beat. The youth's offensive martial skill was not one bit weaker than Xiao Yu's sleeve dimension. Combined with the youth's cultivation being a level higher than Xiao Yu's, even Xiao Yu would find it difficult to take a palm strike from the youth. You can consider bumping into me your bad luck? Duanling Tian's eyes were cold as he moved forward and intercepted the attack, exploding forth with the strength of nearly 5 ancient mammoths. Sword drawing arts. Whoosh. A dark violet sword shine was like a shadow that followed his hand. Ah! The youth emitted a shrill cry as his body was blasted flying. He crashed on the ground afar in a sorry state and rolled on the ground in pain. An arm that was sliced off at the shoulder dropped on the ground. Third brother. The young girl was muddled. Grandpa, why? The young girl called out in sorrow, her voice spreading far away. Instantly, Duanling Tian clearly saw that far away behind on the road, there was an elderly figure galloping over. In Duanling Tian's field of vision, this figure started off at the size of an ant, became the size of a fist, and was still becoming larger as time went by. Closer and closer. Not good. Duanling Tian's expression turned gloomy as he realized how formidable this figure was. He stomped on the ground and dropped onto the youth's Fergana horse. Flee. Duanling Tian's legs clamped onto the steed's waist as he galloped forward, dashing like the wind. Looking at Triumph City, which was nearby, and then turning around to look at the old man that was getting closer, Duanling Tian's expression sunk. Now he only hoped that the old man would take time to attend to the youth's injuries and help the youth connect his sliced-off arm, or else he would surely die. The speed of this old man was far swifter than the Li clan's grand elder, Li Tai, to the extent that his speed wasn't inferior to Aqua Mist City's supreme elder, He Zhu Dao. Obviously, this was a nascent soul powerhouse. As he galloped his horse and flew forward, Duanling Tian's heart filled with a sense of uneasiness and anxiousness. What he was afraid of the most was the old man abandoning the youth to chase after him. With the old man's strength, once he caught up to him, it would be impossible for him to survive. Faster, faster. Duanling Tian's legs unceasingly pressed upon the Fergana horse's waist to urge it forward. His heart was burning with anxiety. Even though the Fergana horse's speed was double the speed of his previous horse, at this moment, he still felt it to be too slow. Faster, faster, faster. At this instant, Duanling Tian wished he could attach wings to himself and fly straight into Triumph City. As long as he entered the city, he would be safe. Eventually, under Duanling Tian's perturbed and fearful gaze, the old man stopped, obviously going to look at the youth's injuries. Who? Duanling Tian heaved a sigh of relief. Only now did he realize that his clothes had long been drenched with cold sweat. At this moment, he felt like he had abruptly risen to the heavens from hell. Even though the old man didn't continue to pursue him, Duanling Tian didn't dare to hesitate as he rode his Fergana horse directly into the city. He heard the exclamations of bystanders the instant he entered the city. Look! Another Fergana horse. Could it be that the Fergana horse that passed by earlier was his? Duanling Tian heard the discussions of the crowd. He frowned as he directly jumped off the steed, and while everyone present had their gazes on the Fergana horse, he seized the opportunity and left. He concealed himself inside the crowded streets and vanished. Could it be that the trend nowadays is to throw Fergana horses about? This is a Fergana horse that's worth 10,000 gold, but that youth seemed to throw it away like throwing trash. Many people were dumbstruck. Whoosh! Just at this moment, the gazes of everyone present moved towards the direction of the city's gate. An elderly figure dragged out a string of afterimages as he instantly arrived before the Fergana horse. Did anyone see the violet-clothed youth that galloped into the city? The old man's eyes were like lightning as they swept past the crowd, causing them to feel chills running down their spines. He went that way. Someone pointed out the direction that Duanling Tian left in. Whoosh! The old man's figure disappeared into the crowd. So fast. Too fast. I'm a core formation martial artist, but I couldn't even catch the shadow of his figure. Probably an origin core stage powerhouse. I've seen the Zhong clan's second elder, Zhongying, battle. Zhongying is a martial artist at the 7th level of the origin core stage, but his speed didn't seem to be as fast as this. The crowd was in an uproar. Duanling Tian twisted and turned, circling around more than half of Triumph City, until night fell. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. Duanling Tian glanced at the clothes on his body as he said to himself, "Now I need to change my clothes, or else it will be too obvious." Huh. Suddenly, Duanling Tian noticed a figure walking towards him. Looking at the figure, it was a youth that had a similar height as him. Mom and Dad will surely be very happy. From tomorrow onwards, I'll be a servant of the Zhong clan, and my monthly pay will be 10 silver, the youth muttered to himself, and then he started humming a song as he walked into the alley. But he quickly quieted down because his throat seemed to be gripped. Under the moonlight, the dark violet sharp sword flickered with an icy cold brilliance. The youth was so scared that he shut his eyes and fearfully said, "Spare my life, sir. I don't have any money. I really don't have any money." Duanling Tian was slightly speechless. "Who wants your money?" "Take off your clothes," Duanling Tian said. "Ah, sir, you want to." The youth's body shivered. Even his voice started to tremble. "Cut the crap. Take off your clothes," Duanling Tian said slightly impatiently. Yes. The youth nodded as he quickly removed his clothes. Duanling Tian removed the clothes on his body and changed into the youth's clothes. But when Duanling Tian finished changing, he noticed that the youth had removed his own pants and was leaning against the wall with his bare but facing him. The youth's body was incessantly trembling. "Sir, you must be more gentle. I'm still a virgin." Duanling Tian was utterly dumbfounded. This guy, what did he take him for? Even if he wanted to rape someone, he wouldn't need to go to the extent of finding a man, right? K off. I only want your clothes. Duanling Tian withdrew his sword and gave the youth a kick on the butt. The youth cried out in pain and said, with a wronged expression, "Sir, why didn't you say that earlier? Woo-woo, my innocence. Do I look like that sort of person?" Duanling Tian muttered to himself while giving the youth a glare. He then left the alley. The night market of Triumph City was similar to Aurora City, bustling with noise and excitement. After buying a mask at one of the night market stalls and putting it on in a secluded place, Duanling Tian headed to Ghastly Shadow's point of operation in Triumph City. Tang Ying had told him beforehand of the location of Ghastly Shadow's point of operations, so he quickly located it. He walked in with large strides and arrived before the counter. Behind the counter was a young woman around the age of 22 or 23. Her seductive body, which was like a water serpent, a pair of magnificent jade hills that seemed ready to burst out at any moment. Combined with her icy cold face, it formed a striking contrast. Noticing Duan Ling Tian wearing a mask, the woman wasn't surprised. It was as if it was a common occurrence. Wang Clan, outer court disciple, Wang Zhan. Duan Ling Tian looked at the young woman, suppressed his voice to a low degree, and faked a husky voice as he spoke. 10,000 silver deposit, confirmation after 3 days. The young woman's voice was incomparably icy cold without a shred of feeling. Duan Ling Tian laid on the counter the silver bills he withdrew from his spatial ring before coming here. He then turned around and left. He had already been informed by Tang Ying about the Ghastly Shadows rules. After leaving Ghastly Shadows' point of operations, Duan Ling Tian took a few circles in the surrounding area. After confirming that he wasn't followed, he took off his mask and shattered it to pieces. Subsequently, he returned to the noisy night market and had some barbecue. Only then did he look for a nearby inn to stay at. 2 Fergana horses and a nascent soul powerhouse. Recalling the incident that took place this morning, Duan Ling Tian's heart sunk. To have a nascent soul stage powerhouse as an escort, the youth and young girl's identities would certainly not be simple. It was extremely likely that they were members of one of the large clans in the county city. But only the youth and the young girl can recognize my appearance. Thinking up to this point, he heaved a sigh of relief. After pondering for a moment, he went out once more and bought some makeup. In his previous lifetime, as a mercenary, Duan Ling Tian was skilled in various concealment and infiltration techniques, and that included disguising. After spending half an hour, Duan Ling Tian's handsome cheeks had undergone a change, becoming extremely ordinary. Not bad, my skills haven't deteriorated. Looking in the mirror, Duan Ling Tian nodded in satisfaction. With these ordinary cheeks, no matter how one looked at them, it was utterly impossible to notice any traces of having put on makeup. This face was one of those faces that if thrown into a crowd, no one would be able to find it anymore. Now, even if they see me once more, it will be impossible for them to recognize me. After he finished putting on his makeup, Duan Ling Tian felt at ease for the moment. At dawn the next day, seizing the opportunity of when the manager was still in a daze from drowsiness, he directly checked out. If he wanted to completely conceal himself, then he must not leave any trace behind. This manager had seen his real appearance. After walking out of the inn, Duan Ling Tian went to a restaurant for breakfast in the open. The steaming hot breakfast allowed him to enjoy it to his heart's content. I wonder who it was. So ruthless. Swallow Mountain County is above our Triumph City, and he even dared to cut off the arm of the county governor's son. I heard the patriarch say that they went to the Wang clan and the Zhong clan early this morning, probably wanting to use their power to find the assailant. Allegedly, the assailant is a sword-cultivating youth around the age of 16, who is at the 3rd level of the core formation stage. He was wearing violet clothes and had a handsome appearance, but how would they search for him based on only that? Duan Ling Tian was just gulping down some milk and eating his breakfast when he heard the discussion from the nearby table. That were 3 20-over-year-old young men. Duan Ling Tian's heart shook. He naturally could figure out that the assailant they were speaking of was none other than himself. But even though he guessed that the 3 people from yesterday had prominent a background, he didn't expect it to be that prominent. Swallow Mountain County, its lands were vast, encompassing 81 cities. Among them were Aurora City, Triumph City, and Aqua Mist City. Swallow Mountain County was one of the 18 counties of Crimson Sky Kingdom, and the governors of the 18 counties were figures that held the power to wield large numbers of troops. They had a decisive position in the kingdom. Allegedly, the 18 governors were all void stage powerhouses. Void stage powerhouses, they were existences that were above nascent soul martial artists, also known as immortals of the land, as they could use the strength of their fleshly bodies to control the air and fly. That youth is the son of Swallow Mountain County's governor? Duan Ling Tian realized that he had gotten into trouble, and it was big trouble, but he didn't regret it. Even if he could turn back time and be in that position once more, he would still do it the same way. Duan Ling Tian's heart jerked as he thought to himself, luckily, this is Triumph City, and it is far away from Aurora City. There shouldn't be anyone who would think to suspect me. For the next 3 days, the entirety of Triumph City was startled by the large movements of the three great clans. They only had one objective: find the assailant that cut off the arm of the county governor's son. During this time, Duanling Tian saw that young girl once again. The young girl had an icy cold expression and was following the crowd as they searched for his tracks. But even when he looked at the young girl face to face, she didn't recognize him. Duanling Tian was confident that besides Ku Er and his mother, no one else, not even Li Fei, could recognize the current him, even if they met face to face. He was extremely confident in his disguise techniques. Deep in the night, Duanling Tian once again bought a mask in the night market before putting it on and once again arrived at the ghastly shadows point of operations in Triumph City. It was still that seductive and icy cold young woman that attended to him. Wang Clan, Wang Zhan. How's the confirmation? Duanling Tian went straight to the point. 200,000 silver. The young woman said, in an icy cold voice. A mere body-tempering martial artist is so expensive? Duanling Tian was stunned. Based on the prices Tang Ying informed him off, a 9th-level body-tempering martial artist would at most cost 100,000 silver. Infiltrating deep into the Wang clan estate has a high risk. The young woman's icy cold voice sounded once more. This is 190,000 silver. Duanling Tian didn't ask any further. He withdrew the silver bills he had prepared earlier and passed them to the young woman. The young woman received the silver bills and nodded. When will the mission be conducted? Duanling Tian couldn't stop himself from asking. Tonight, the target will surely die. Hearing what the young woman said, the corners of Duanling Tian's mouth curled into a smile, but it was concealed under his mask. He left the ghastly shadows point of operations and found another inn to stay in. He had already made a decision in his mind. Tomorrow morning, after breakfast, he would leave Triumph City. The next day, Duanling Tian found a restaurant to have some breakfast. He originally thought that he would be able to hear some news, but he didn't expect that the hot topic currently was still the matter regarding the county governor's son. According to Tang Ying, as long as it's an assignment accepted by Ghastly Shadow, they have never failed, so there shouldn't be any problems. After eating and drinking his fill, Duanling Tian prepared to leave the restaurant. Duanling Tian had just walked out of the restaurant when the conversation of two youths that passed by him entered his ears. I didn't think that Wang Zhen wouldn't be able to hold on. Yeah, even the patriarch can't figure out why his injuries abruptly relapsed. He's gone now, and thus Wang Guang and the others can be considered to have died for nothing. Although we know it was someone from Aurora City's Li clan that did it, we don't know who exactly it was. Humph. That guy from the Li clan really got lucky. Duanling Tian started laughing. Got lucky? Nevertheless, the movement of Ghastly Shadow was really swift. He couldn't help but be amazed by the methods of Ghastly Shadow. According to what he heard from the conversation of the two Wang clan disciples, it was extremely obvious that even the Wang clan patriarch didn't notice that Wang Zhan was murdered. He believed that it was only his injuries relapsing. Duanling Tian bought a horse and galloped towards the city gates. At the Triumph City gates, there were 3 groups of people that had joined together to inspect the people that were leaving, and from the crests on the clothes of these people, he could make out that they were members of the Triumph City's 3 great clans: the Zhong clan, the Wang clan, and the Lu clan. Duanling Tian saw that young girl once again. The young girl was helping inspect the people in the queue to leave the city. After a short moment, it was Duanling Tian's turn. The middle-aged man beside the young girl looked at Duanling Tian as he asked, "Young lady, is it him?" "Young lady?" Duanling Tian was stunned. The middle-aged man's clothes displayed a Lu clan crest on it, so he was obviously a member of Triumph City's Lu clan. In other words, the young girl that swung her horse whip towards him the other day was the Lu clan's patriarch's daughter? Like this, everything seemed to be easily explainable. Earlier, Duanling Tian felt that it's strange that the dignified son of the county governor would come to such a small city like Triumph City. Compared to Swallow Mountain County's county city, Triumph City was merely a small countryside city. So it turned out to be because of this young girl. It isn't him. Lu Ru's gaze scanned Duan Ling Tian for a few moments before shaking her head. Move. The middle-aged man swept Duan Ling Tian with a cold and indifferent gaze. Duan Ling Tian didn't take any offense. As he galloped his horse out of the city, leaving Triumph City behind, his face slowly emitted a smile. Even though he had been met with unexpected complications that came out of nowhere, his affairs could still be considered to have been concluded satisfactorily. His return journey went quite smoothly, so he arrived at Aurora City before dusk. Although he had only left for a few days, Duan Ling Tian still felt eager to return home, so he directly went home, embraced Ku'er, and spun in circle. Duan Ling Tian let the young girl, whose face was completely red, down, and said, in a gentle voice as he smiled, Ku'er, I missed you so much. Got a wife and forgot the mother. Unknowingly, Li Ro had also come out of her room. She shook her head and sighed. Duan Ling Tian was slightly embarrassed as he hurriedly went to hold Li Ro's hand and tried to remedy it by saying, Mom, I really missed you too. Enough, stop being mushy. You probably haven't eaten a proper meal throughout your journey. Mom will go prepare some food for you. Li Ro shook her head as she entered the kitchen. Madam, I'll help you. Ku'er wanted to enter the kitchen as well, but she was instead held onto by Duan Ling Tian. Ku'er, didn't you miss me? Ku'er nodded her head like a chick pecking grain off the ground. Of course I missed you, but big sister Fei Fei missed young master as well. Young master, you go see her, and when young master returns, I and madam will have finished preparing the food. Silly girl. Duan Ling Tian's heart was warm as he pulled the young girl into his embrace. Ku'er was always like this, always putting him before everything. When Duan Ling Tian arrived at Li Fei's home, she said, You actually know how to return? The moment Li Fei saw Duan Ling Tian, she directly glared at him. You didn't want me to return? Then I'll leave. Duan Ling Tian was dazed for a moment before turning around and walking away with a smile on the corners of his mouth. You're not allowed to leave. Li Fei quickly walked forward and blocked Duan Ling Tian from leaving. Unexpectedly, at the instant she blocked Duan Ling Tian, he seemed to be able to predict the future because he opened his arms wide and pulled her into his embrace. Li Fei's delicate figure trembled. Duan Ling Tian's mouth was snuggled up to her earlobe. He gave it a lick and quietly said, I missed you. The young girl's figure was as if struck by lightning, and her body became stiff. Cough, cough. Just at this moment, a cough sounded from behind him, causing Duan Ling Tian's face to freeze. He even felt that the old man had done it on purpose. Grandfather. Li Fei's face was red from embarrassment, and thus she kept her head lowered, not daring to look at the old man. Grandfather. Duan Ling Tian turned around and smiled slyly while greeting the old man. Li Da's eyes narrowed, lightly smiling as he asked, Ling Tian, I heard you left for a few days. Where did you go? Nowhere. I just want to take a spin around Misty Forest. I wanted to see if I could find another one of the spirit fruits that could increase the strength of the fleshly body. Duan Ling Tian made up an excuse. Do you think those types of spirit fruits fall from the sky? Li Da was speechless. He had heard of the story of Duan Ling Tian consuming a spirit fruit that caused his fleshly body to undergo a metamorphosis, gaining an additional 2 ancient mammoths of strength. But as far as he was concerned, these types of spirit fruits were things one came by with luck and not by searching for it. Grandfather, that spirit fruit I got that time really did fall down from the sky. It even knocked a bump on my head. Duan Ling Tian continued to speak drivel. Li Da's face froze, and he was slightly embarrassed. That's a coincidence. Absolutely a coincidence. Li Da quickly changed the subject. Ling Tian, I've seen the spirit sword you refined for Ku'er. It's really not bad. It surpasses regular grade 9 spirit weapons, but it's still quite far away from being a grade 8 spirit weapon. Do you need grandfather to help you increase the grade of the spirit sword to a grade 8 spirit weapon? Grandfather, you must not only want to simply help me increase the grade of the spirit weapon, right? Duan Ling Tian saw through Li Da's intention, so he teased him a bit. Li Da's face turned red. Rascal. Grandfather wants to ask you for some violet meteorite, So he can help me increase the grade of my spirit weapon to the 8th grade as well? Li Fei rolled her eyes at Duanling Tian. I'm just joking. Since grandfather wants it, I naturally wouldn't refrain from giving it to him. Grandfather, I'll go get my mother's and Ku Er's swords for you right now. Duanling Tian quickly took a trip home, brought the 3 violet myrtle flexible swords, and passed them to the old man. Extravagant, too extravagant. The old man looked at the 3 flexible swords and was slightly amazed. Ling Tian, where did you get this violet meteorite from? When I was at Fresh Breeze Town, I bought it from a weapon store. I think I spent around 200 silver. 200 silver? The corners of the old man's mouth twitched, and he was only able to say 2 words after a long time. Lucky bastard. The old man was overjoyed as if a precious jewel had fallen into his hands as he took the 3 swords back to his room and started getting busy. Duanling Tian's sneak attacked Li Fei once again and pulled her into his embrace. Little Fei, did you miss me these past few days? I didn't miss you. Li Fei blushed. Really, you didn't miss me? Duanling Tian's hands mischievously moved around Li Fei's hot and delicate figure. Stop that. Then tell me the truth. Did you miss me or not?
Yes.
I didn't hear you clearly. Yes, that's enough, right? Stinking rascal. Hee hee, then I'll be a rascal for you to see. The wolf one is coming. Ah, no. Duanling Tian and Li Fei both didn't notice. At this moment, outside the courtyard, a white-clothed youth that had been standing there for a long time walked away in large strides. Duanling Tian, even if the clan doesn't punish you, I will kill you sooner or later. You just wait. Li Qing's eyes were crimson red, filled with hatred and envy. His heart was close to warping. Oh, isn't that Li Qing? Suddenly, 2 youths walked over from nearby. The gray-clothed youth in the lead had eyes that contained a smile as he looked towards Li Qing. Li Qing's face turned grim as he shouted in a low voice, Lian, you better K the hell off. Don't provoke me. Me. Li Qing, do you really think you're still the you of before? The current you is just trash to me. Lian sneered as he said in disdain, now, in the Li clan younger generation, only Duanling Tian can be my opponent. You are not worthy. You're courting death. Li Qing's expression was ferocious as his body moved, pouncing towards Lian. Swimming dragon steps. Dark nether finger. Li Qing pointed out with his finger and flew straight towards Lian, fully exploding forth with the strength of 3 ancient mammoths. Humph. It isn't only you who's at the 2nd level of the core formation stage. Lian sneered as he took a step forward. Above him, 3 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared. Bang! Lian directly moved to intercept and blocked Li Qing's finger strike with a single punch. The forward force of his punch didn't decrease as it blasted onto Li Qing's body and blasted Li Qing flying. Li Qing, if your dark nether finger wasn't crippled, even if you broke through to the 3rd level of the core formation stage, it would still be impossible for me to be your match. Unfortunately, trash is trash, so don't even think of rising for the rest of your lifetime. Lian arrived beside Li Qing and laughed coldly. Li Qing's face turned green. He was angry to the extent that he spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes even emitted a dense hatred. Elian, Duanling Tian. He wouldn't let any one of them go. Remember, your grandfather is dead, and you don't have anyone to rely on in the Li clan. Next time, don't be so arrogant to me, or else I'll beat you up every time I see you. Lian threatened him before leaving. Li Qing struggled to stand up, then he took a deep breath before making a decision. Return home, pack his bags, bring along his grandfather's inheritance, and leave the Li clan. He was leaving with hatred. When Duanling Tian heard that Li Qing had left the Li clan, even he was slightly surprised. Although he didn't have any favorable impression of Li Qing, he couldn't deny that Li Qing's actions still made him feel a sense of respect in his heart. Leaving the Li clan's protection and venturing out in the world wasn't something that anyone would have the courage to do. Once one did this, it would mean that everything would need to start from the beginning. He would be without anything to rely on, and everything could only be done by himself. He didn't know, however, that where Li Qing left to was, as luck would have it, Triumph City. So much for that. 5 days ago, our Swallow Mountain County's county governor's son's arm was cut off by someone outside of Triumph City? A violet-clothed youth? Sword cultivation? 16? Duan Ling Tian just so happened to not be at the Li clan during that period. I can be sure that there's an over 90% probability it's him. After leaving the Li clan, Li Qing galloped without direction, coincidentally arrived at Triumph City, and thus heard of the latest news that was raging in Triumph City. Maybe this is a chance for me. Li Qing's eyes shone. After a short moment, Li Qing arrived at the Lu clan's estate. I know who cut off the county governor's son's arm. A single sentence allowed Li Qing to be unobstructed in the Li clan. He smoothly met with the person he wanted to meet. In a vast audience hall, a youth in fine clothes sat at the head seat with a slightly pale face. On the sides of the fine-clothed youth stood a young girl and an old man. You know who injured my young master? The old man's gaze was like electricity as the imposing manner of a nascent soul stage powerhouse swept across, pressing onto Li Qing's body.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.